Hey, you guys seem to like the last time I put all my Gravity Falls videos together in one big video, so here's another one. And you can tell it's a sequel because instead of being 1 hour, it's 2 hours. So yeah, thank you guys for all the support and hope you enjoy the video. Bye bye. I'm gonna keep saying random facts and details about the show Gravity Falls until I can't anymore. One of these days I'm going to reach thousands of facts, so make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because I have like 0% subscribers. To not waste any time, the first factoid is that everyone that lives in Gravity Falls is canonically stupid. Wow, a real strange one for the first detail of thousands, but that shows how weird these videos are going to be. But yeah, throughout the show, you may have noticed that a lot of characters seem to be pretty stupid. But the explanation to that is the episode Society of the Blind Eye. In it, we see a secret society that erases memories from the residents of Gravity Falls whenever they see anything weird like a monster or, in Lazy Susan's case, some gnomes. And since this town is also known to be the most scientifically proven weird town, having the most concentrated amount of cryptid and anomalies, that means that all of these characters are being forced to be dumb by this one society. Good thing the gang shut them down before the finale, am I right? Lazy Susan and her unlucky diner. Lazy Susan is introduced while she's trying to fix well, Lazy Susan at the diner she works at.
Where were you yesterday?
I got hit by a bus.
Hilarious!
In fact, almost every time we go to the diner, something breaks or has been broken. Like the animals running around the restaurant constantly, Sue's catching everything on fire, and even after not what he seems, the crane drops the already demolished food establishment just as the scene was about to end. Either the diner or her have some bad luck. Good thing that date with Stan went as well as you would expect.
Non-specific excuse!
Yeesh.
Everyone would have died if Dipper wasn't there. We see various ghosts throughout Gravity Falls. There are in fact 10 categories of ghosts listed in Journal 3. 2 of these ghosts can be seen during the episode The Inconveniencing, an older couple who died due to teens playing them newfangled modern music from them boomboxes. They come back as ghosts to essentially torture Wendy and her friends for being teenagers, who were only stalked because Dipper revealed he was actually 12. The scariest thing about this is that Wendy invited Mabel and Dipper at the last possible second to come with, so it's likely that they would have been there tortured for who knows how long. Scary stuff! Wow! This is a kid's show, by the way. In Gravity Falls, it's illegal to marry a woodpecker. Yeah, that's right, what of it? In the episode Irrational Treasure, we see that Gravity Falls isn't just weird because of monsters, but even the laws are strange. The law, the right to marry a woodpecker, was founded by the 8.5 President of the United States, Quentin Tremblay. This ex-president and ex-mayor and founder of Gravity Falls that isn't 100% confirmed to be the one that made this law. But considering this is the same person who, during his presidency, issued the Emancipation Proclamation because he believed, and I quote, "Pants are about restrictions, which goes against America's values of freedom." I can't believe he made this law and made this totally happy marriage possible to this man who has only been referenced as Woodpecker Guy. Who has only been seen after the marriage arguing about not migrating south for the winter, and the second he's revealed being a part of the Blind Eye Society, instantly says the marriage isn't going great.
How's that marriage going, by the way?
Oh, great. Not great.
God, I didn't know I had this much to say about the Gravity Falls law where you can marry a woodpecker, but hey, here we are. Here we are. Gravity Falls has a zombie problem. Zombies were foreshadowed all the way in episode 1 where Dipper didn't realize that Mabel's new boyfriend was actually some gnomes in a trench coat.
Is this weird? Is this too weird?
But then we later see in episode 1 of season 2 when Dipper actually raises the dead.
Dipper, what's the one thing I asked you not to do tonight?
Raise the dead.
And what did you do?
Raise the dead.
But where the fact comes in is that even after the season 2 episode, we see them around. We see the dead mayor pop right out of the ground along with some other zombies during the ending bit of the finale. And then Robbie's parents just put them right back in the ground.
Brains and so forth.
Nope, none of that, thank you.
Meaning that zombies are still here and much of a problem. If only every person with the knowledge of how to defeat them didn't leave town the moment after we saw this as a problem. Lol. Mabel has over 100 sweaters. We see Mabel wear a lot of sweaters throughout the show, and basically anything her character appears in. And you may notice that there are so many, making her the only real character in the show to ever change their clothes, especially for every episode. Here's an image of over 100 sweaters she's worn in appearances, thanks to user bodacious_E on Reddit. Just take a sec to appreciate how many designs the artists and animators had to constantly draw, all for this little cartoon girl. Stan faked a heart attack to get money. In the episode Boss Mabel, Dipper, Mabel, Stan, and of course Waddles watch the show Cash Wheel. Later in the episode, Stan decides to compete in the show and only receives entry by pretending to have a heart attack.
Ah! I'm having a heart attack!
And claiming the only antidote was to receive a spot on the show.
And the only cure is to be a contestant on Cash Wheel. No, someone give me a part. I'm old.
What won't this greedy man do for some dollar bills? Ormando has a mermaid kingdom and is a prince? Ormando, the merboy, is the love interest of the week Mabel falls for in the episode The Deep End. But he isn't just some random mermaid, he's part of an underwater kingdom that remains pretty unexplored in the series. He's implied to be a prince of the kingdom of merpeople in the episode Society of the Blind Eye, when Ormando is swept into an arranged marriage to the Queen of the Manatees to avoid undersea civil war.
Queen of the Manatees? And she's so beautiful!
Considering how many critters there are in just Gravity Falls, there's no telling how many there could be underwater, or how big this kingdom might be, or what other sea creatures live there in a sea society with all those sea? I wonder if that's one of the stories we could have seen during the Stan twins' adventures on the Stan of War. If we had any. Mabel's most worn sweater, and its sweet story. Something you may have been wondering after hearing she has over 100 sweaters, which one has she worn the most? Well, thanks to the lords above, there are other freaks that like this show even more than I do. On the Gravity Falls wiki, there's a list of Mabel sweaters. Every one. And also with a list of each one, which episodes they appear, and how many times they appear. With pictures. And after going through them all, the one she has worn the most isn't her iconic shooting star hoodie that's only been worn 5 times across the show if we're not including each intro. It's instead her purple floppy disk shirt, and there's even actually a sweet story as to why. Throughout the show she's worn this 10 times because it's a hand-me-down from her father, who happens to work on computers, who got it from a Windows 95 convention many years before the twins were born, being one of the few sweaters confirmed to not be made by Mabel herself, and is a real cute reason as to why she likes it so much, besides it being comfortable because she's worn it for so long.
Hey Mabel, could you get the light?
I'm on it.
Dipper's real name. Dipper's real name has been hinted for as long as it was revealed Dipper had a nickname.
The Big Dipper! That's how you got your nickname. I thought your parents just hated you or something.
That was the season 1 episode Double Dipper, which was also the episode to introduce Pacifica to our world. But even after the finale, they still didn't mention what his real name is, or even really talking about the fact it's a nickname. But then 5 months after the finale came out, Journal 3, a real version of what Journal 3 would actually look like in the show. Oh, and skip to the next fact to avoid end of Journal 3 spoilers if you're not there yet. So after Ford slipped through the portal, that's where his Journal 3 pages end, and when Dipper picks it up, with his first edition being the leaf blower's tip against the gnomes. And not only that, Dipper started writing away about his own adventures, and in the book they go back and forth between Ford, Mabel, and Dipper, once they're all there of course. But during one of the final 30 pages, while Ford is explaining to Dipper about the theory of weirdness, Ford writes, "You and I are some of the strangest beings in this town I've ever seen, Dipper," I told him. "Mason," he blurted out. He seemed almost shocked by what came out of his mouth, and then deliberately repeated it. "My real name is Mason. Dipper is just a nickname, but everyone got used to it, and now it feels too late to tell everyone the truth. And it's kinda dumb name anyway. Don't tell anyone." I tousled his hair and smiled at him. "Your secret's safe with me, Mason, and I think it's a great name. Masons are a great secret society, you know?" So that's the name that wasn't said for the whole show, and I mean the entire show. That's 14 hours of show that it wasn't said. And it happened during an off-camera scene just after the episode The Last Mabelcorn, with Ford and Dipper showing how these nerds really trusted each other. I think I'll keep calling it Dipper though, since I don't want to spoil those people that skipped ahead. Gravity Falls has its own Loch Ness Monster. The very second episode of the show, The Legend of the Gobblewonker, is home to many iconic Gravity Falls characters and moments, such as its best joke.
My ex-wife still misses me, but her aim is getting better.
During the episode, the gang are trying to find the Gobblewonker, which is very similar to Loch Ness. But did you know that many states in real life have their own version of the Scottish lake monster? With one of the most famous in America being Champy living in Lake Champlain, a lake that's shared by both New York and Vermont. It's shown later in the episode that Gravity Falls' version of Nessie was actually a robot made by McGucket. But one of the most interesting moments was the very last second of the episode where it's revealed that the Gobblewonker is actually real. So who knows how many of these different versions of Nessie are real as well in the Gravity Falls universe? Or maybe they're also made by crazy robot making guys.
That's probably why I live in the dump.
Ford's 6 fingers make him unique. Great Uncle Ford having 6 fingers is a big part of the show, and even why most of any of it happened in the first place. That birth defect has changed the course of his life for the weirder, making him bullied to the point of being a reclusive nerd that obsessed over the weirdness in things, which is why he went to Gravity Falls and why he kept a journal with that 6-finger hand symbol on it. This law of weirdness and him studying it is why he had 6 fingers, was drawn to Gravity Falls, and finally why he built the portal. This man's fingers have made him so unique and caused so much of the show that I even had to make it a fact on this list.
Whoa, a 6-fingered handshake. It's a full finger friendlier than normal.
I like this kid. She's weird.
The gnomes have a secret language. Even though most of the gnomes speak English, there's one fellow that only says one word.
Schmebulok. Schmebulok. Yes.
Schmebulok. Schmebulok is one of the best characters of the show and only ever says one word. But in Journal 3, one of the very first pages has a secret in the Blacklight edition. The gnome page we see Ford writing in the episode A Tale of Two Stands, when interviewing a favorite gnome, has even more details on this page. The Blacklight version goes, "Every gnome generation has a town idiot, or Schmebulok. I interviewed one, and he said the word Schmebulok over and over, before writing this on a chalkboard. Pure gibberish." But if we go deeper and decipher this quote-unquote gibberish, as Ford so rudely put it states, "Mine is but a solitary existence. I read, I ponder, I stare at the heavens. Bounteous is our world, but cruel is the master of it who condemn me to say but only my name. Perhaps my isolation is my gift, for only in the separation from others that our mind can truly be free." So, yeah. Holy crap, what? Damn, Schmebulok is a literary genius and a poet, and I didn't even know it.
Schmebulok. Is Schmebulok all you can say? Schmebulok.
Grunkle Stan wears a hearing aid. It never really comes up, but yeah, Grunkle Stan has a hearing aid, which shows how much of an old man he is.
I'll show you who's the old man. Ow! Ah, my hearing aid!
It helps him win Season 1's finale and expose Gideon as the fraud he is, proving that he's no child psychic, with the help of Dipper's courage to leap and punch Gideon's robot, Mabel's determination to keep using her grappling hook until it's eventually useful, and Grunkle Stan by pushing 70.
I'm pushing 70 and I still eat ice cream for dinner.
Everything was built by McGucket. We talked about how McGucket made a robot version of the Gobblewonker, but he has also made other incredible inventions, including some of the most pivotal machines in the plot of the show. Besides the Gobblewonker, he has also made a homicidal pterodactyl robot when his life left him, and an 80-ton Shamebot when his friend Ernie didn't come to his retirement party.
Well, time to get back to work on my death ray. Any of you kids got a screwdriver?
Those are the other ones he said he made in the very same episode. Other ones have been the Season 1 finale Gideon Robot, the mysterious laptop that led to his memories coming back, the memory gun that took the memories from him in the first place, and helping Ford with the construction of the dimensional portal. He's truly an important player to the show when it comes to the plot, and his machines are sure a big reason for it. Dipper can play the tuba. Old Man McGucket can play the banjo, Bill Cipher can play the piano, and Dipper can play the tuba, or more specifically, the sousaphone. We see this in one of the very few Gravity Falls shorts, showing that not only is Dipper a nerd, but he's a band kid as well. Ew, Dipper, gross.
Hey, is that a giant tooth?
Mabel knits in superhuman speeds. Alright, maybe I should just make a Mabel sweater deep dive because there's a lot to say about this. Like, even more than I would have thought. Comment down below if you would like to see me do a deep dive for every sweater or anything else about Gravity Falls. I love Gravity Falls. But anyways, it has been confirmed in the Between the Pines interview that whenever Mabel isn't on camera, she's knitting her next sweater.
Every time she's not on camera in an episode, she's off knitting the next week's sweaters.
Which is crazy because of how many dang sweaters she has. There's only 40 episodes of Gravity Falls and she's worn over 100 sweaters, with there only being 104 days of summer vacation, and school comes along just to end it. So the annual problem of our generation is finding a good way to spend it. Even though that isn't true and is a government psyop. Where was I? Oh, okay. There's closer to 70 days of summer vacation for Big Dip and Sweater Girl, so that's like 1.4 sweaters she's making every dang day. That's wild. Go Mabel, am I right? Like, good for her. She even made one that lights up and another that plays music.
Is that a boombox sweater?
See for yourself.
Poke. Work it. Ah!
Uncle Stan is truly only successful because we see in the episode A Tale of Two Stans how Uncle Stan is so terrible at selling scams that he's banned from most states in America. But then later in the episode show that Stan is actually amazing at lying to the people of Gravity Falls about obviously fake cryptids and Panther shirt. Puma shirt, Panther shirt, Puma shirt,
Panther shirt.
But one reason he's truly successful is the same as the fact I talked about earlier. Everyone in this town is truly stupid. Canonically so even. This added with him being an incredible showman and finally finding a niche about stupid cryptids like the Sasquatch made him really successful. He might even be able to sell his terrible actual scams if he tried with these canonical idiots. But with all these assets combined, it made a perfect career choice for our favorite gilf. Grunkle, I like frantically Puma shirt or Panther shirt. I just mentioned this episode joke about my man not being able to pick between a Panther shirt or a Puma shirt.
I'm fine locking him inside if you are.
Puma shirt, Panther shirt. Puma shirt, Panther shirt. Puma shirt.
But we actually see him in Season 2's first episode with his decision. In the episode, the gang is throwing together this party, and during it, on his way getting the tickets, we see this.
Tambry sends me the craziest texts.
Showing he decided on splitting the shirt, so he's wearing both. These are the kind of facts that I live for. But the question is, which one would you have picked? Should he have chosen to split the shirt in the opposite way? I personally think he chose the wrong answer. Bill Cipher is in your wallet right now. That's right, your cold, hard cash could be home to Gravity Falls' most famous triangular menace. Everyone knows he was originally designed after the Eye of Providence on the American dollar bill. But did you know that his history and journal implies that Bill has been manipulating the human world for literal centuries? Even confirming that the pyramids were designed after him. And with him being confirmed to have come to the real world with the cipher hunt, who's to say that Bill isn't laughing at your wallet right now? You're broke. This one symbol quite literally foreshadowed everything in Gravity Falls, even in the very first episode all the way to the finale, to the point where I should have realized this way earlier. You may know that everywhere in Gravity Falls, and especially in the Mystery Shack, there's one symbol that appears everywhere, including in the very first time Dipper uses a journal to research something. And I've always thought, hey, that looks like Bill Cipher from Gravity Falls, that's crazy. But there's no way there's a lure reason as to why. Holy crap, I'm an actual idiot. Literally, this entire show from the beginning has been a result of Ford. I knew this before, but then I realized that Ford is the one that constructed the shack, doing the exact blueprint construction, and loved his beautiful manipulative triangle boy so much that he put symbols of him everywhere. Everywhere, showing how omnipresent he is throughout the entire show. He's in every intro, he's on and in the walls. My man's is even on my cereal box. Hey, get out of there, Bill Cipher, gosh.
Hey, sorry, man. Oh, hey, sorry about that, man.
I know this may have been obvious to some fans, but the show doesn't outright spell it out for you how much Ford was into Bill Cipher. It's so crazy, they should make a book about it. Well, would you look at that? I haven't read it yet, but it's so cool how it's just in the actual show if you look for it, and what makes rewatching the show great. Just like the first time we see Bill Cipher's page in the episode Dreamscaperers.
Beware Bill, the most powerful and dangerous creature I've ever encountered. Whatever you do, never let him into your mind.
At first we're like, oh man, the author hates this Bill guy, but now this page looks like Ford's being a bitter ex. Like scratching out the nice text he wrote about him and being like, whatever you do, don't let him in your mind. And going, Bill can't be trusted. The text he crossed out on the left page literally says, Bill has proven himself to be one of the most friendliest and most trustworthy individuals I've ever encountered in my life. What a guy. This is so sad but also so funny. And I hope you guys find this as interesting as I truly do. The symbol being around the shack foreshadowed Bill Cipher existing and Ford's love and devotion to his once wonderful seeming muse. And foreshadowing one of the biggest ships to ever grace his wonderful fandoms.
Not canon yet. Sometimes, when you're trying to save, look how tender that is.
No.
Yeah.
The chat is rejoicing like you just created world peace.
Now, if only Dipper could have figured all that out in episode 1, and none of this would have happened. Obviously say that jokingly, but literally everything he needed to solve everything was in the shack the entire time. Not to mention the time he fell into the lab from the outside.
Oh man, my 38-sided die!
That was in the Season 2 episode Dungeons, Dungeons, and More Dungeons. Imagine if Dipper attempted to play DD and more D with a goat in Season 2's first episode and just ran into Grunkle Stan's greatest achievement.
My greatest achievement! Probably should have worn pants.
You may have seen various ghosts throughout the amazing show that is Gravity Falls. There are in fact 10 whole dang categories of ghosts listed in Journal 3, so I thought it'd be interesting to go through and explain them all, while also showing examples and other cool Easter eggs along the way. So if all that sounds interesting to you, then stick around as we win to go through all this tasty lore after this ad. If I add any, we first see the categories being used in the amazing Pacifica episode, The Northwest Mansion Mystery, giving us a glimpse of the ghost categories, but not giving us all we need to make a full lore video. That one comes with the later release, Real Life Journal 3, which I own. Isn't that so cool?
Don't worry, I'm not gonna drop it this time.
And in there we see all the additional info we need. So with this book paired with what we know with the show, we can go through all of these defined categories and see if Ford is even right about any of it whatsoever. Ford first researched these ghosts because of boyish Dan Corduroy, or as you may know him, Wendy's dad, Dan Corduroy. Corduroy. Gave Ford his family's unused cabin since Ford was too fed up not making progress on his grand unified theory of weirdness. Though Dan warned him to lock himself inside the bedroom before midnight. Ford mocks him at first and then realizes that the cabin is, and I quote, exceedingly haunted. Ford tries a seance to lay the spirits to rest, but then quickly realizes he's wrong by the seance summoning an untold number of his unearthly brethren. He then spent 2 sleepless nights writing these 10 distinct variations of ghosts he's noticed, each one being deadlier than the last. Category 1. The first he noticed at the cabin were these Casper-looking ghosts he literally called for Category 1. These basically pose no threat at all, only having the desire to become the best friend of whatever person they latch onto, meaning they are really desperate and clingy, even following Ford home asking to bake brownies and have a tickle fight. Even though he is indeed a ghost with no body to go with. Thank you for the joke. You may now clap till your hands hurt. They also have the power to make things float, but never compliment them on it, because only showing no interest will make them disappear. Otherwise, literally one word of kindness will keep them around for years to come. So even though the ghost is a supposed cutie pie, they are way more annoying than it's worth. Much like my ex-wife.
But her aim is getting better.
And if you have the blacklight journal, you can see the ghost skeleton, meaning the blacklight reveals the bones of this relatively otherwise harmless and cute ghost. Which is super interesting because only one later category has a crazy blacklight secret like this. Can you guess which one before I say it? Bet you can't. No, seriously, I don't think you can. You think this is a joke? Some sort of lighthearted game? I have no faith in you, you pathetic little worm. Category 2, pranksters. I love the way that these guys look. Look at the shorter one with the little hat and the scrunched up face, pounding his little fist in the other hand like a cutie. These ghosts appear in groups of 2 to 3 of these prankster types. Mainly because on their own, they'd get their transparent butts kicked all the way back to the netherworld. Sick Minecraft reference, Ford, but can we stick to the research here? They prank they prank humans by taping signs onto your back like kick me and possess me, but they love picking on the category ones, which is probably a reference to Casper's uncles, but a little less obvious compared to category 1 being compared to Casper. Category 3, gluttons. This is where I should mention that Seuss once talked about in the episode Fight Fighters about how when his house was haunted, he learned how to eat ghosts from an arcade game.
A frog taught me how to cross the street. When my house was haunted, I learned how to eat ghosts.
This video is all the information we know about these ghosts in Gravity Falls, so I thought the Seuss eating ghost Pac-Man reference would go best here. Speaking of references, this category is a clear reference to Slimer from Ghostbusters, being categorized in the exact same way that Freak would, with Ford even saying in the journal that Gooer from the movie Phantom Bustifiers being inspired in this universe by the ghosts themselves. So then I guess this is categorizing the exact same way that Freak Gooer would. Gooer. Gooer.
Gooer. Gooer.
They violently eat any food that they can find, even going into refrigerators, all to have the food on the ground. So just like the others so far, this ghost is only dangerous to your mind by being constantly annoying. Imagine having to clean up after a glutton ghost wastes all of your food when the guy can't even eat it. At least with the previous 2 categories were only a little annoying, but not wasting your time and food by throwing it on the ground. Like, look at that picture. He wasted 14 fully made burgers. All that grocery money wasted. All that time cooking wasted. All those delicious burgers that I could have eaten in real life IRL. Call me Grand Theft Auto in screen, cause it's all wasted. Oh, I hate this man. I would never see him again. Category 4, haunted paintings and image-based vectors. You've heard of paintings where the eyes follow you? Well, these ones literally do that, I assume. Ford managed to block out some words on this page, but it seems they can simply follow you with their eyes and bodies, well, you know, bodies, going from painting to painting, being able to leap from image to image, even onto Ford's $5 bill. And if you've seen one of the most famous Gravity Falls ghost episodes, then you probably know how to trap them. I'll give you a couple seconds to figure it out. Seriously, comment it down below. I'm testing your knowledge. It's the Pacifica episode in the mansion with the woodsman ghost guy. And time's up. It's trapping them in a silver mirror. It's apparently the only way to trap them. Ford hid his in a closet though to drown out its annoying screaming since category 4s have no indoor voice. This page also has a chant that Dipper was saying. It's a chant to dispel ghosts. The chant goes, Exodus Demonus, Spookus Scarus, Ain't Afraid of No Ghostus, Boompus Goosus Shamalan. Which means Dipper was literally 3 chant words away from completing the chant.
Exodus Demonus, Spookus Scarus, Ain't Afraid of No Ghostus.
Dipper.
Which honestly probably would have ended up worse, since we wouldn't have gotten Pacifica's redemption, Dipper turning into wood, which both of those I made a video about, and we'll make another video about at some points, and finally the woodsman's lumber justice.
I feel lumber justice.
Which is also very interesting that this is a category 10 can be defeated in the same way as a category 4, meaning that there is much more crossover than we are led to believe between these categories, which I think is neat and cool. Category 5, Soul Suckers. These are basically the mosquitoes of the ghost world, feeding off life force of a human and sucking, well, their soul. I love the design of this freak. Reminds me of a Mario or even a Hollow Knight enemy. Just love the way he has that big old mouth when sucking, and then it gets all tiny while his body expands, looking like a neat little sack of soul. The only other thing to talk about with this neat little guy is Fort's tail. Given enough time, these guys will suck your whole dang soul. But Fort found him quickly and squashed him like a bug. and finishes off his entry with this: I have no idea how to clean bits of life force off of Dan's dining room table. Thanks, Ford. Very cool of you. I definitely needed that image in my brain, freak. Category 6, Phantoms of Pain. And just like Slimer and Casper, this one's an obvious reference to the Hellraiser monster. Though instead of describing them as guys wearing black leather and pins in their head,
Who you call him Pinhead?
Ford describes them as wearing black leather and having some sort of painful looking jewelry sticking out of various body parts. Even though those are clearly just nails, Ford, and even though that jewelry looks painful, what they really want is to inflict pain on you, meaning whoever they're haunting, not you specifically. You're not gonna have pain inflicted. I swear, you're not going in the Hellraiser Cube, chat. Chat, you're not going in the Hellraiser Cube. You're not.
If I chop you up in
Hellraiser Cube.
you're probably...
Pain.
No, I'm not gonna put you into a...
Hellraiser Cube.
I'm not gonna put you into...
Hellraiser. They can't even touch you unless you summon them. Ford had one at the cabin that literally pretended that Ford asked for him, but all Ford had to say was simply nope, and he shuffled his little feet away, disappearing as he muttered some lame threats. So don't worry, all you need to do is say nope, and the ghost would just simply have to leave you alone. I also believe that this is what category that the older couple would be in the episode The Inconveniencing. You don't know this, but this is why I really wanted to make this video. Besides learning about these ghost lore in Gravity Falls, I wanted to put Ma and Pa into a category because, let's be honest, these ghost categories weren't made when the writers outlined these rules and made that episode. And then I thought I could say, oh, Ford missed out on this one, he clearly doesn't know and just wrote these down with bias, the fool. But this category fits perfectly for these Dusk to Dawn convenience store runners. Like I said, Phantoms of Pain can't touch you unless you summon them, which is exactly what Dipper did by laying down on the corpse outlines and him saying about how he's such a teenager.
I'm 13! Technically a teen!
And being a teenager is why they decide to essentially torture everyone in that friend group, as we see the ghost do with no sign of stopping. Only doing so once Dipper says that he's not a teenager.
I'm not a teenager!
During that time, we see Ma and Pa doing ironic punishment to the teens, which can be from turning Nate into a hot dog.
What? No! I'm a hot dog!
And like trapping Tambry on a screen. This goes with the statistics tendencies of the Category 6 Phantoms of Pain. My punishment's made to make teens suffer for their behavior, showing a desire to inflict pain or discomfort. Now, we never know how much power this category has since Ford said nope. So maybe it could have been this bad, and that could have potentially put this category up to 9 or 10 given the potential danger. But wait, remember how the episode's conflict ends again?
I'm not a teenager!
This could also be the equivalent to Ford's nope. So with all that said, I think this is 100% the category for these ghosts, if the crew thought about it. Tell me otherwise in the comments, but to me, you are wrong to think that, and I have defeated you with facts and logic. Category 7, the Eternal Key. Ford begins this entry in the journal with, one desperate soul in each generation is transformed into the Eternal Key. Which is where I remember that in universe, all ghosts used to be alive human beings at one point. And I point that out because in any other cartoons, they are sometimes just ghosts. They are a monster type called ghosts with no connections to them once being human, which adds a real dark twist I didn't realize until now. Every character we know that's alive in Gravity Falls can eventually be one of these categories of ghosts, which gives me two interesting thoughts. If they were turned into a ghost, which ghost would each of the main characters be, and which category would I be? Sounds like an online quiz you take, but I wonder how that works since we don't know 100%. For one we know, it's a common ghost rule to have a grudge or unfulfilled purpose like with the grocery store couple and the woodsman ghosts. Otherwise, we know no real other way of how one becomes a ghost. Sorry about that tangent, but I just find stuff like this so interesting. Anyways, back to the Sadkey ghost. They have no idea what they are supposed to do or where to be, haunting with very noisy complaining, trying to figure out what will end their torment, which I imagine is eternal given that they are the Eternal Key. Category 8, the Petrifying Rock. This rock has a keyhole in it, so you know what that means. The Eternal Key's torment can only be ended by unleashing Kerserxel, the Unperceivable. Wow, really? Well, at least these two categories have a hard time syncing their schedules. Ford noticed the key wandering around half an hour before disappearing, complaining and being annoying as usual. And then the Rock appears 10 minutes afterwards. Not only that, but he, and I quote, gave one look around the place, sighed, and vanished. I have a feeling this happens a lot. That's hilarious. Also, question how Ford knows this a little bit. Like, I'll trust that the writers are saying that everything written down here is true, but like, how does Ford know the name Quetzalcoatl? The unperceivable. The key doesn't know what's going on, and the Rock just appears, gets upset, and then leaves. How did you do it, Ford? How do you know it? Category 9. Dream Hipster. This is the most obvious reference to a pop culture ghost out of them all. The drawing could literally be fan art with the glove being a little different. That's how close it is. If you haven't gotten it yet, it is based on Freddy Krueger from the film franchise A Nightmare on Elm Street. One of the most referenced out of the ones listed, and is definitely the one everybody watching the show pointed at the screen like that one Leonardo DiCaprio meme. What? Like that one Leonardo DiCaprio meme.
It's not dumb, okay?
What's up? Oh.
Even having a striped shirt, and instead of a knife glove, having a glove with a fork, spoon, butter knife, and even a bottle opener. And just like Freddy, he turns dreams into nightmares, but then he takes you out of the experience to brag and have you admire how much effort went into his handiwork and his personal details that he included into the dream. Ford had this to say about category 9. Please, just kill me already if I can skip all the bragging. What a terrible experience it must have been to deal with this guy, am I right? Ford even later writes about how during his second nightmare of the night, the hipster interrupted his own work halfway through to make sure Ford knew he was the one that made it. Each dream, every single one having a stupid one-liner. And then Ford decides to not write any more of his dreams in the journal to make sure it doesn't give the hipster any satisfaction at all. Category 10. Danger. Category 10s are the most dangerous, with the Grim Reaper, that's right, the Grim Reaper, being the most famous of the phantoms. More deadly ones listed are the Grave Filler and the Slim Creeper. And then Ford literally talks about, you know what, I'll just read it. The Reaper simply has made an effort to get itself out in the public eye more than the others. Good PR. Ford, what are you on, brother? But this is actually similar to the Goober things, to where the ghosts are popular enough to be in pop culture and in things like movies or books. Ford's personal story talks about the temperature in the cabin dropping 30 degrees. The mounted deer heads on the wall began screaming, and the fireplace started to fill with blood, which is just like Dipper's category 10 in the episode Northwest Mansion Mystery. And just like Dipper, Ford writes, when this figure arrived, I knew for sure.
It's a category 10.
And of course, as we know from the show, it says, pray for mercy in black light. But we also see that Dipper wrote in himself in the journal 3, get the rich girl to apologize to them. And I have one question for you, audience. Which one of these are helpful at all?
Advice. Oh, seriously?
Like, we sometimes make fun of Ford for his vague stuff, but Dipper's is also way too specific. If you ain't afraid of no ghosts, you're an idiot, says Ford as he runs from the cabin, having enough ghosts for a lifetime, which is pretty fair, I say. But one last thing for this category, you might remember from later I talked about the blacklight. Well, in the blacklight edition, this is what Ford sees when he ran into category 10 again. Not so scary without his cloak. This guy should spend less time reaping and more time at the gym. And that's all I could find about ghosts. Which category was your favorite? I know which one's my least favorite. Oh god, I hate that guy. Jeez. This one moment quite literally made everyone love this character of Gravity Falls. The season 2 episode Northwest Mansion Mystery is loved by a lot of fans because of how Pacifica gets redeemed after being so rude for like most of the show. I made a video talking about her redemption and made a video talking about the one scene that most of you probably have seen, considering it's my most popular video at the moment. But today, instead of a scene, I wanted to talk about something smaller, even more unique. Just a moment. Pacifica has been very rude and not understanding of the main characters of the show the entire time, all the way up until the Gulf War, which is where the one scene was from. The thing is with that episode and that scene is that yes, that scene redeemed this very hated character for most of the audience and the characters involved, but except for Dipper. That's one thing you can point out in that scene from Gulf War, is that Dipper still hates her and still isn't okay with her, even though Mabel is. Which is what makes this episode of Northwest Mansion Mystery so interesting, because when Pacifica goes to Dipper for help because of him being this myth-busting guy that even gets put in the newspaper by the GOAT Toby Determined. He even still just says no. He doesn't want to help out at all. He was just sitting in his chair trying to watch a marathon of his favorite show, Ghost Harassers, but then he gets interrupted by Mabel and all her friends because they want to see the opening of the mansion, which has never opened its gates. So they're just watching the door of this famous place, which makes Dipper go, I hate her. I literally hate her. Why are we watching this? And I would say that to her face. And then she comes to the door.
I need your help.
You're the worst.
Which is such a good joke while also restating the fact that like he just hates her, which is something that I love about Gravity Falls. It's just how good the writing of the show is, of how it can do double things all the time. That was set up for the episode of showing that this big event, showing the stakes of the characters and where they're at with like this event and with Pacifica, and then ending it with a joke that is so iconic that people post at randomly. And which I'm not sure if it does as good of a job as the Gulf War with restating how people feel about them, because they're not stating that Mabel is okay with Pacifica as much as they're stating that Dipper still hates Pacifica, which is probably more important to the episode since they're not really hanging out with Pacifica at all. And they have several scenes setting up how famous she is, how popular she is, and even having all these tapestries on the wall while getting Dipper dressed in a suit to show like, oh, look how prestigious the family is, all their successes that they've had, showing how kind of proud she is of her family, even though she still gets belittled a lot, even during the cold open of the episode where she wears lake foam green and then her mom gets pissed off because it's not seafoam green. Instead of a golf competition between Pacifica and Mabel, it's more of like a competition of who can like one-up each other with little jokes and jabs throughout the entire episode between Pacifica and Dipper instead.
So what? Are you going to bore him back into the afterlife by reading from this book?
Gotta splash this sucker with some anointed water, and he should be out of your probably fake blonde hair.
What was that about my hair?
But this comes to a head because instead of it being a competition and it going too far with the little Putchians just thinking they need to kill Pacifica for some reason, it's her lying to Dipper, even after he thinks that she's fine and that she's a different person now, because her parents manipulated her into lying to him so that they can get the ghosts out for the family and party to be safe, even though all they needed to do was just let people in, which is really not that hard, but they're just so up their own hoo-ha about this stuff that they can't even let just a couple of people into their party so that a ghost wouldn't turn everybody to wood and then burn them alive, which is what happens after Dipper gets tricked. Because obviously the ghost doesn't think he can convince Dipper anymore. So then he heats up the handle, which lets him just escape from the silver mirror because it crashes on the ground. And the only thing that can stop them is letting somebody in, which is what Dipper does after seeing such a horrifying scene just walking into the place of a guy crawling on the ground towards him, be like, help me!
Help me! Whoa! That is messed up!
And Pacifica is just back there turning her light on and off, clearly upset about something. Not even just because of lying to Dipper, but because of what she found in the room instead. Because she went back in here, assumedly just to hide from everything, because she's very overwhelmed. And then she finds the paintings, the same ones that were in the room where Dipper got dressed up because she needed to fit in here. That Pacifica was perpetrating, just like with the lies to him, and just like all the things, that she's perpetrating the badness of her family lineage. And that's what she finds in this room, is paintings. The paintings of the exact same people from before, but just all the lies and deceit that were behind it, which is like, dang, not only did they repaint it in a good way with the paintings up front, but they painted the bad stuff too. Literally quoted by Pacifica, a painted record of every horrible thing my family has ever done.
A painted record of every horrible thing that my family's ever done.
It's like, why would you? These people are so up their own hoo-ha that is crazy. Like they painted every misdeed. How do you even do that? But something I love about the way the scene starts is that Dipper comes in to try to reach for her just for help, and then she pulls it away before talking about this.
Pacifica?
You want to know why this room was locked up? This is what I found in here.
Which I like that Pacifica trusts Dipper enough to like say these things to. But at this point, she trusts him enough because of how they had a nice day together despite the lies being said.
Lying, cheating, and then there's me.
And then Pacifica says all the things that they've done, lying, cheating, and then talks about herself, saying about how she's no different from all these other Northwests and this entire family lineage, about how she lied to Dipper just because she's too scared to talk back to her parents, which, to be fair, they are doing a Pavlovian response with a bell so that you wouldn't do things so I'm assuming that there's some form of punishment that she's undertaking. Otherwise, it really doesn't make sense why Belle is making her scared, and that's it. But something I like about why she's saying that is that she throws away her earrings. She takes off her earrings and throws it at the parents, showing that she wants to change it, but she's also not sure how.
I lied to you just because I'm too scared to talk back to my stupid parents.
And then, sorry, I'm getting distracted by that picture. Look at that fur coat he's wearing. While it's stepping over, they're so pompous. Look at them. Like, literally look at how pompous these guys are. He literally has like a whole like fur coat on, literally pointing down at a globe that he's stepping on. Like, she has a literal crown on with like golden earrings and a golden like band with little golden like gloves. It's like these people are so weird. Like, even the other paintings of the other people are just all lies and deceit, like doing crossing fingers, like stepping over bodies, and he just has like 3 medals going on and stepping on the globe, pointing down at it. It's like, what is their problem, dude? Literally the only other time we see like globe imagery like this of like someone having like stepping over the globe is with Bill Cipher, the person who literally wants to dominate the entire universe of this world with his hubby Ford. So the fact that pointing at a globe, just like stepping on it, like, yeah, we dominate the world, like, dude, you're just famous in this one town, calm down. Like, it's like they're just so evil.
You were right about me. I am just another link in the world's worst chain.
And then Pacifica throws the words back at Dipper of what he said earlier about just another link in the world's worst chain, which was such bars from Dipper and was also just straight on point, even more than he realized, by having all these photos showing their entire lineage has been this exact thing. If you were Dipper, what would you say in this situation? Your rival that you had this whole time, person that you constantly try to one up, somebody that has lied to you today, eyes full of tears. And do you get mad? Do you finally be like, oh yeah, now I could finally rag on this person?
Pacifica, I'm sorry about what I said earlier.
But no, he apologizes. He apologizes specifically for what he said earlier when he was mad and upset and hurt about being lied to, because he finally fully trusted Pacifica. But he realizes now that that doesn't mean that today was nothing. Like, what their fun that they had today was just like a lie, was just another act from Pacifica. It was real. It was real fun they had. It was real when they had a hug and then she paid him to say nothing about it afterwards.
We did it! Can I pay you to pretend that never happened?
And then he says, just because you're your parents' daughter doesn't mean you have to be like them. And it's like, oh.
But just because you're your parents' daughter doesn't mean you have to be like them. It's not too late.
And then also the way she like looks up at him and just like smiles, and while he goes, it's not too late. It's never too late.
It's not too late.
It's just like, it's so sweet. You know, it's just such a nice little scene, which I think is why this really made everyone love Pacifica, because this episode did a really good job of like showing multiple different moments of like, oh, here's her being nice, and Dipper finding her to be like a nicer person than he thought before, fully bonding over this time of being traumatically chased by a ghost that like has heads that literally barf blood. I can't, like, they're just blood, right? That's just allowed. You could just have that happen in a kid show, but that doesn't reverse this entire day, and they're having just fun together. But too late is too late.
It's not too late.
It's too late.
Like, I think it's this really sweet scene, but it is kind of undercut a little bit. Him saying it's not too late by the woodsman going, it's too late.
It's too late. You are all wood.
And I like how the woodsman goes, it's too late. You are all wood. It's like, who are you talking to?
You are all wood.
But I think compared to all of those little like nice scenes of them having a good time together, this is a good scene, because without this scene, this episode wouldn't be like as big of like being, oh, redemption episode for Pacifica, because it admits to her being wrong about things, and admits to her being lied to by her parents, just like how she lied to Dipper, and her feeling bad about it. Her feeling bad about things that's even just out of her control. Like, she can't control how controlling her parents are in her life and everything, but she still feels bad about it, that she didn't stand up to them. And then just Dipper comforting her about it is really good and really sweet, and I fully believe is a reason why people just love Pacifica. And just like the last scene we talked about where it had an animation of that car ride scene, there's an animation of this flashlight scene, though it is a lot shorter, which is why it is a moment and not like a scene. Which I think the fact that this is animated as well as the full-on scene just shows how this moment, even though it's not a full scene, even though it's not this big thing, is just still important to people. This reanimation of this moment does take some liberties, just like with the flashbacks being like, oh, here's this, and making the taco like a symbol. It takes Pacifica's flashlight and kind of makes it a symbol where it flashes whites. It goes down 2 times and just shows her. It shows Dipper in the background just standing there in the doorway, and then it flashes back up and then back down. It shows him sitting down with her. It flashes up and back down again. It goes from him just sitting there like listening to her, like looking at her, to being sad, and then it flashes again to him hugging her, which is like, oh my gosh. And then she like just looks down and drops a flashlight looking all defeated and everything, which is like, that's so good. That is so good. I almost wanted to like, that should have happened in the show because like it's such an iconic way for that scene to interpret, just like having the scene flash up and flash down. It's so like nicely artsy and like a very good way to show the emotions, such a simple way. Like this animator is very good at doing this apparently, to where they did it twice, which I think they're not going to do anymore considering these are from like 2015, but they're pretty good. I thought this idea initially to be a kind of a sequel to the one scene, because like, oh, one scene, I have one moment that was also reanimated by this person and is like pretty good, but it's still just like a good moment. Like it has as much merit as that scene does. This scene was a little too dark for Disney, but it would have been so funny to actually be in Gravity Falls. Howdy, nice to see ya, I'm Matter. This comes from the finale episode Weirdmageddon 2, where our boy Dipper tries to rescue his sister from a mind prison built to trap her in there forever, while her family on the outside could be dead or worse off screen. But Mabel doesn't like that he doesn't agree with her no matter what, so she creates a better, cooler version of him called Dippy Fresh.
I prepared a backup Dipper with a more supportive attitude.
Wiggity wiggity, what's up, dude bros?
Which is even just messed up as hell. Like, it would mess me up for life if my lifelong friend and family member made a better version of me that everyone also enjoys him. Like, even Seuss was not on his side. What?
Hey, take a chill pill. Those grow on trees here.
You stay out of this, Dippy Fresh!
Dude, calm down. Dippy Fresh didn't do anything to you, dog.
The episode then eventually leads to a big court case where all the people who are literally created to keep Mabel trapped in there forever have to go against literally only Dipper. Including the one we all hate, Dippy Fresh.
Flip a dip dip.
I hate him so much.
Which all leads to this very dark joke that I can't believe the crew thought they could get away with. Like, there's obviously a lot of dark moments in Gravity Falls, and even literal on-screen blood, and even a guy having all his orifices in his face meshed up by Bill Cipher during Weirdmageddon as well. But also, Disney didn't allow the brief text mention of spin the bottle going on at a party that we never see on screen, and is only really a background detail for the episode. So when the team wanted the fate of Dippy Fresh to be that Dipper, the flipping protagonist of the show will have to snap the neck of Dippy Fresh. It's like, of course not. Are you serious? And I'm guessing this will take place after the court case because it reveals Dippy Fresh to be evil in the last frame, like what happens to all the fake people as well after Dipper wins the court case of reality being better. But this is crazy, right? Dippy Fresh goes, "Your hat is on backwards," and manhandles Dipper's hat to be cool like his, which makes Dipper rightfully mad. But I couldn't believe that Dipper would have the will or strength with his feeble noodle arms to snap the neck of a man. Boy, it's him but cooler. I'm so jealous of him. I'll never be that cool. The only other Weirdmageddon deleted scene I knew about before this one was the cut Neil Cicierega, Lemon Demon, Bill Cipher song, "It's Gonna Get Weird." And my only reaction to that one is, oh man, we missed out on a cool finale song like some Adventure Time type shit. But the reality where Dipper killing someone being in the actual show is some wild work.
He needs some milk!
How was the show gonna continue after that? Like, what was the planned next shot and line? I bet it was something like Seuss going, "Oh my god, dude, bro, I think he just killed a man." Nice. Reminds me of that one time I ate a man alive during Summerween. ate a man alive during Summerween.
I ate a man alive tonight.
I was literally just talking about the existence, the mere existence of Dippy Fresh being traumatic and gonna be needing therapy for Dipper, like needing legit mental help, by how messed up it is. This is a whole different level. Alex Hirsch tweeted this out in 2017 like it was nothing, saying all, "Fun fact, Dippy Fresh was originally murdered by Dipper. I wonder why Disney made us cut this." What? I love Alex Hirsch, but what? If this was put in, imagine how many kids would have been traumatized by this when it happened. Like, Dipper went postal so fast. Like, it was nothing to him. Bro couldn't even lift a stick in Dipper versus Manliness, and now he's a licensed hitman for clones of himself? For real.
So yeah, his fate is that he gets killed by Dipper. Now right away, this is actually really dark, especially for Gravity Falls. This is literal murder.
This is literal murder. This deleted scene was too hot for Disney. Make sure you are prepared to be steamed by what Alex Hirsch was cooking up for Bill and Ford to do literally during the finale. Not only were they planning on having Dipper straight up delete Dippy Fresh, they were also planning on this.
That extra finger, you fit right in with my freaks. I'll die before I join you. He spits in Bill's eye. He licks it off.
If you go frame by frame, you can actually see how, oh man, my glass is fogged up because of how steamy this is. Holy moly, gang. We got Ford spitting straight onto Bill's eye, which would honestly give this community enough fanfics for decades. But then, Bill just nonchalantly licks Ford's spit off with a tongue that we've never seen him have before. Like, we've seen him drink wine with Ford and even eat the earth with Ford, but licking with an actual tongue changes the whole dang game because that is wild. We talked about how Dipper removing Dippy Fresh from his mortal coil would have traumatized so many kids watching. I think this would have done something very different. I might have realized some things about myself that I was not ready for at the ripe age of 150. In my younger years.
He spits in Bill's eye. Everyone gasps.
I like how everyone's reaction to the spit happening was like, Ford ruined Bill with that spit shot. Dipper even gave that a fist bump like it was the sickest burn in the world. Only for Bill to lick it off like a windshield wiper.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Also, I like how everyone in the crowd of this clip gave like a nothing reaction to the actual spit, but then goes crazy when Bill licks it off.
He spits in Bill's eye. He licks it off.
But there's another part to the same scene I want to mention because it's maybe even steamier than the last. Bill does the same joking bit from the actual show and turns Ford into a statue. But then he picks up a deer, just like the one he sucked the teeth out of in his introduction, and has them make out with Ford.
Hey, Bill! Leave me alone! I want to enjoy my honeymoon with my dear wife! Oh, gross! Get a room, you guys!
Why did they have to make the deer look so uncomfortable? This was probably removed for animal cruelty and being canonically wrong. Ford is not on his honeymoon with his dear wife, Bill. And they say Bill is an all-knowing demon. Tisk tisk. But meanwhile, he doesn't recognize his ex-hubby Ford right there.
Oh, gross! Get a room, you guys!
But in all seriousness, this joke was pretty funny, and yet another deleted scene that I would have loved to have been in the show. Because sometimes you see a deleted scene and you go, oh, I can see why they deleted this. He literally murders Dippy Fresh. But then you have something like this, or It's Gonna Get Weird, and the only reason they get cut is because of time. I would love to see a director's cut of this show with no time limit, because if they cut an entire song that they made and had made it all the way to being a full animatic, then what other cool shit have they cut out? And a director's cut would be cool because stuff like that Dippy Fresh scene and other messed up crap could be in the show without Disney being like, spin the bottle being on a piece of paper is too graphic for kids. Let's see people kill each other for the fun of it. If you're like me, you love Gravity Falls. I think I've uploaded enough videos at this point to prove it, but seriously, I can't get enough of it. So why not do the YouTuber thing and make a ranking video, but not just ordinary ranking video? No. I could just rank every episode of Gravity Falls ever like a normie, but I can't help but want that little demon inside me to take over and corrupt my brain. So instead of that straight normal shiz, here's every episode of Gravity Falls ranked by the first line. I plan on making loads of weird little ranking videos like these, so I thought, why not start with the idea that literally says first in the dang concept. If you actually end up enjoying this clearly amazing and worth your time video, make sure you hit that bell after you subscribe to never miss an upload. Like actually, if you guys end up liking this idea, I'll keep doing them. It's fun to look at and judge these episodes like an insane person with the weirdest particular tastes. But the rules are simple. I'm judging each episode by the first line said by a character. No ifs, ands, or buts. I'm even looking through each of the transcripts just to make sure the first block of text is what we're judging these entire 20-minute episodes by. And then they are each going to be ranked worst to best. Without further ado, let's get right into the ranking. Are you ready to see the absolute worst first line in any Gravity Falls episode? Yep, that's it. Now I realize the first line is way less than if I did something like the first scene, so there's really not much to go on at all, but I'm in too deep to back out now. What am I gonna do? Not rank every first line of this children's cartoon? I made these rules and must follow them, lest be led to damnation. So anyways, this one's the worst. This is the first line said in the season 2 episode, Blendon's Game. This concept is really stupid, I know, but also this episode would have to have the worst first line. With how I'm thinking of ranking these, I'm going between how they set up the episode, if they get the viewer engaged, and, most importantly, if I find it funny or entertaining. So even though this first line creates some intrigue by it being a man running away while someone yells, "Halt!" that's still all it is. This is even a perfect showcase of what Gravity Falls isn't. Like, you might think I'm crazy for going this hard, but look at what video you clicked on. So imagine with this first line, you click on a Gravity Falls episode, seeing not a single one of the main characters, instead being only a hooded figure with even a futuristic design. So you might even think you clicked on a random adventure like with a CalR style, like the Owl House, but instead of witches, it's some Blade Runner Edge Runners biz. A first line screaming "halt" is nothing, as you'll see later, and even without that, who says halt? They'd even say something like "time halt," like later when Blendon falls, it goes, "my time knee."
Ow! My time knee! Oh, time, dang it!
And I need to say all of this and go this deep about this one line because what else do I talk about when rating these first lines? This may have been a mistake, but I'm just not stopping. This video is 100% going to be longer than my others while being this stupid. I could have just made another video talking about how cool Grunkle Stan is, but no. I had to be a YouTuber and do an episode ranking, but not just any episode ranking, that's too easy. I had to do a... Okay. I need to calm down. I have 39 more to go, and this is only the first one. Oh my god.
Bird up.
Now, if you're an idiot, you'd say that this is the exact same as the last one, but no. This one is leagues ahead in terms of being a first line. See, this is said after the incredible iconic episode of Not What He Seems, the season 2 episode, A Tale of Two Stands. So even though it's still one character telling another to stop or slow down, this one holds hype, which is the only reason this isn't in last place, because as you'll see later in the list, there are ones that aren't just one word. But turns out these two one-word intros of someone yelling at someone running, this episode is way better. Also, I just like the way that bird looks. I don't know how to explain it. Just look at that bird. Look at that bird and think about how cool he looks compared to you. Maybe I'm just projecting at this point. Next episode.
Well, I like D&D. I understand that someone like you wouldn't understand.
Shut up!
Now this one is an actual sentence, but has a glaring issue as to why it's down so low. Let's see if you can tell.
I just ate a bag of cheese boodles without using my hands. Lazy Tuesday, you are delivering in a big way.
Now this one is actually the episode after A Tale of Two Stands, being the episode Dungeons, Dungeons, and More Dungeons. Now if we were comparing the cold opens and or the first scenes, this one would have lost heavily compared to A Tale of Two Stands. But this first line is an actual sentence instead of one word, and even has one of the main characters saying it. But the main reason is this low on the list is because of how this sets up the episode barely, and in fact, isn't even funny. Like, this episode is mainly exploring how Great Uncle Ford fits into the family dynamic while he's here, and Dipper bonding with him, being barely about Mabel or Lazy Tuesday compared to Ford existing.
Well, call me for dinner.
But more interestingly, this line is only made to be one of those reversal jokes. You may not know that term, but you know what I'm talking about. It's like when a character goes, "Aw, they're so cute," and then the creature makes a scary face. I think those jokes are pretty boring, IMO. It's actually the main reason I don't like Amphibia, at least for its first season. Mabel was saying about how calm and boring it is, just so something exciting can happen in a second.
So ever.
Though I do like the animation of the bag blowing up, I think it's neat. I think that's neat.
I just ate a bag of cheese boodles without using my hands.
Wait, did you see that? She's a liar! Look at her fingers! She did not in fact eat a bag of cheese boodles without using her hands. I literally see every single visible digit on her fingers absolutely coated in orange. So then I guess Mabel is a liar and a terrible person. When will her reign of terror stop with her literal sociopathic tendencies of lies and deceit? See how crazy this whole project has made me? In order to find literally anything to talk about their first line of dialogue, I'm talking about Mabel's finger cheese.
I just ate a bag of cheese boodles without using my hands.
Whenever I'm talking to my therapist about when it all went wrong, I'm just gonna yell at them, "Mabel's finger cheese!" and then just break down crying. And then
Okay! Whoa, that cloud looks like a chipmunk.
Alright, I know, but hear me out on why this one is better, because you already know why it's down so low. Dude, I cannot wait to get some of the lines that are literally anything, and not just, "Whoa, that cloud looks like a chipmunk."
Whoa, that cloud looks like a chipmunk.
Compared to the other scene of Mabel lying while laying down on her back, this one is exciting and even a little cute. Like her being so excited about the cloud being a chipmunk and then a plane being barfed out is so fun and cute. Unlike the last one, she isn't lying to our face about not eating with her hands. Like, that is undeniably a cloud that looks like a chipmunk. That is undeniably a cloud that looks like a chipmunk, which adds intrigue to a viewer just turning in. Like, that cloud is perfectly shaped compared to the usual looking vague clouds. And even right next to it is a star, which could also be a shooting star cipher wheel reference. Cipher wheel reference. Cipher wheel reference. I'm a boy, I go. Cipher wheel reference. Cipher wheel reference. Shooting star cipher wheel reference.
Whoa, that cloud looks like a shooting star.
This episode is The Love God. In terms of introduction to the episode, it doesn't do much besides set up this single scene, but it's still a cute, adorable little first line on the list.
Whoa, that cloud looks like a chipmunk.
I guess the last thing I can say is that I love how small Mabel's arm is on the screen, but you can still see 4 distinct colors on her sweater, showing how much of a banger of colors that sweater is going to be in a second, which is interestingly a rainbow sweater in an episode all about love. Smells kind of suspicious of pride. Pride! Smells like a lot of pride. Smells like a lot of pride. Pride! Smells like a lot of suspicious amount of pride. This next one is an awesome This next one is the awesome sauce episode, Northwest Mansion Mystery. This episode shows up the most in every video I make for some reason, and whenever I say the title, this cool artwork shows up. Watch what happens when I say Northwest Mansion Mystery. See, there it is. There it is.
Preston, I must say, the guest list for this year's party has so much diversity.
Now, the reason this is higher than the others is because of how this is the perfect intro for this episode. The entire episode is about this party, to where even Dipper is forced to dress up in a suit. So having Preston's trophy wife having the first line addressing the man of the house about how great the guest list is, as if they didn't make it, says a lot in just one line. It shows how pompous they are. Even having her look at the guest list ghosts while overlooking the town, seemingly thinking they are higher, more important beings than the entire town, which is also a really important aspect to this episode. But this has to be fairly low because it's not like a joke or a full concept of a line really. Again, much like others, it's set up for the next second line, which is how you're supposed to write a show good. Like literally, what good show has the first line be so gushing important for every episode? Like it will always lead to another character responding in order to have banter or dialogue. So the first line really isn't that important. Anyways, now for the 35th place on my first line rankings. Yay! Yippee!
That's it! I know what we're gonna do today!
You're gonna have to bear with me here, but trust me when I say that this one is better than the others so far. Okay, here it goes.
Summer break.
Now listen to me. Now this is the very first episode of the entire show, Tourist Trapped. And I know some of you brain ruined fans like me are like, hey, where's the rest of this famous copy pasta quote from Dipper? Well, here's the problem with that here.
Break.
So do you want cheese on that, hon?
This one guy ruined this famous quote that starts the show because my rules are the first line said by a character, meaning they can't be interrupted. You don't even know how high on this list this line would be because of how ruined my brain is from having watched this show for the past 12 years since the first episode came out. But this guy, this random background character that doesn't even get reused enough to be a recognizable background character, ruined this moment for me for this ranking. Reduce this infamous first quote of this entire show down to
Summer break.
I hate this man. I hate him so much for this. I require hate edits or something because this one random guy who matters not at all to this incredible, amazing show ruined my hyper-specific list ranking of every Gravity Falls episode. But the reason it's higher than all the rest is because I find this
summer break
to be funny as crap. And I think besides it being ruined, it's still a pretty good first line to get into not only this episode, but the whole show itself.
Are you ready for the ultimate challenge?
Oh, I'm sorry, did I scare you by playing the clip straight up? But yep, that's it.
Are you ready for the ultimate challenge?
Now this is ahead of the iconic first episode's line because it creates much more intrigue. Like even though we know it's not anything too crazy, Mabel's still going,
Are you ready for the ultimate challenge?
Are you ready for the ultimate challenge? Which is crazy paired with a syrup bottle making that face, being called Sir Syrup. Like I'm already engaged to figure out what episode 2, The Legend of the Gump Walker, has in store for me as a viewer.
Are you ready for the ultimate challenge?
It even has that playful music and an obvious hand holding up the syrup bottle that looks like a man, showing how much quirky and fun this episode will have in store. And given this episode was actually made before episode 1 in production, I find it interesting that episode 2 is actually ahead in terms of the first line. I'm scared my fixation on Gravity Falls has gone too far. But you know what? Now instead of being the guy known who made a 14-minute video about a child show car ride, now I can be a guy who made a who knows how long video talking about the first line of every Gravity Falls episode. But not only that, ranking them worst to best, meaning that I have to compete this with this.
Summer break.
You tell me which one is better. I swear, I better not get comments saying that I ranked these wrong. I will find you. And I will make you hurt.
Are you ready for the ultimate challenge?
Are you ready for the ultimate challenge?
You'll be like, oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Are you ready for the ultimate challenge? Sorry, my impression was a little too good there.
You stupid.
Read a book or something, I don't know.
Here's what most fans believe to be a top 5 episode of the show, ranked at the bottom 10 of my list. The season 2 episode, Sock Opera. This being an episode that changed how many fans enjoyed the show and solidified Bill Cipher as an incredible antagonist, redefining his character from his brief introduction in the season 1 finale. Anyway, here's the line.
All right, Mabel.
Today's the big day.
Alright Mabel, today's the big day. Now your question may be, why is this so high on the list? Well, this first line is much more interesting than you may think. Dipper going, today's the big day, while reaching into his bag inside of a library is very interesting because of intrigue. By this point of the show, we know that Dipper is trying to find the author, and the last time we see this plot point, he got a laptop. Now, right next to him is as well a computer, so even without seeing him pull it out, we can already assume what he's doing. This line also sets up most of the plot of this entire episode, and even the conflict. Dipper is excitingly telling Mabel about something big today, which not only excites the viewer about what the big thing is, first of all, but secondly sets up that Dipper wants to do this process with Mabel, which is the conflict of this episode. A big reason why Dipper gives in to Bill to figure out the laptop's password is due to Mabel pushing him aside once again to focus on the crush of the week. Bill uses this weakness to manipulate Dipper into taking the deal. And the whole resolution to the episode is Mabel finally sacrificing something she wants for Dipper instead. So in terms of setting up the episode and creating intrigue, this episode does amazing for its first line. Also, that read sign is super funny. Like, wow, have you seen this sign? This book screams at a book they are reading, which itself is also screaming. With the sign saying read, like, I guess that's what this poster in the library means, I don't know. And then in the bottom left of the poster, the fish is screaming as well. Just a confusing time for everyone involved. Besides all that, besides everything I said, the line is still...
All right, Mabel. Today's the big day.
Making one of the best episodes of the show down to 33rd place of a possible 40, being the 8th worst episode of the entire show. Almost makes you think maybe an entire episode should be judged by its first line. The 9th worst episode of Gravity Falls has to be The Last Mabelcorn. The episode begins with a shot of Bill Cipher looking through the house that'll eventually lead to his confrontation with Ford himself, with Ford's first line being,
I know that laugh. Show yourself!
And while this is a good line and all, it's not the first line of this episode. The true first line said in this wild episode is,
Princess Lovacorn says,
Buy my 42 accessories.
So, that makes the first line not this cool first confrontation of Bill, Cipher, and Ford after all these years, and instead a capitalism joke with Mabel stuffed unicorn.
Princess Lovacorn says,
Buy my 42 accessories.
But this is still pretty good, especially compared to the others, because this is a full joke and even relates to the plot of the episode. The episode is literally called The Last Mabelcorn, so Mabel having a stuffed animal unicorn while she sleeps ties into the later plot beat of Mabel being obsessed with unicorns. She even admits to Ford later that her literal first word of her entire life was unicorn.
I am literally obsessed with unicorns. My first word was unicorn. I once made my own unicorn by taping a traffic cone to a horse's head.
What? That's wild, Mabel. So as you can see, that's why it's this high on the list, but why is it down this low? Well, it'd have to be that it's not that interesting or overly engaging. Like, the line itself isn't engaging or even that funny to most of the audience watching, because we're more scared of the demon that's watching the child sleep in the scene. Like, the perspective of this shot comes from outside into the house, so everyone is assuming it's Bill. So we're not going, funny capitalism unicorn. Instead, we're going, Mabel, wake up, there's a demon at the end of your bed, and not the hot kind.
Princess Lovacorn says,
Buy my 42 accessories.
That plush is cute though. I'd love to have it. Give it to me now.
Who wants to go on a road trip?
Now, you won't believe what scraped its way up to the 10th worst episode slot. Instead of the usual bottom 3, it would be on most fans' lists. It's the infamous bottom tier episode, Roadside Attraction.
Nice. And don't forget bug spray. It's perfect for spraying in the face of hitchhikers.
Now, this is higher than the others because of it being a main character saying a full sentence that can be considered a joke. Grunkle Stan puts a sticker that says, Caution, Silver Fox at the wheel, and I think that's awesome considering he's a gilf for our favorite gilf. Grunkle, I like frantically. This line even perfectly sets up the main aspect of this episode, which is the road trip aspect. Even though I hate that plot, it at least sets it up, so I'm not gonna let my dislike of this entire episode be affected with this first line. Because besides any of that, Grunkle Stan just straight up sounds weird.
And don't forget bug spray. It's perfect for spraying in the face of hitchhikers.
Like, it's either the particular voice the voice actor is doing, or like the audio directioning. Like the opposite of when I went too deep in that Pacifica car ride scene in that one video. But I love the way that the audio directioning is. I know this is weird. Am I talking about? Yeah, I'm talking about the audio directioning in this Cartoon Kids show. Hello everybody, it's MrMatter. I do that. I'm a freak. I have problems with my brain and Gravity Falls is the only solution, okay? Isn't it crazy that I said stupid crap like that and somehow got over 300,000 views? Like, that's stupid.
Bug spray. It's perfect for spraying in the face of hitchhikers.
I also don't think the joke is that funny. It even has the viewer distracted like the unicorn one. We're thinking about the fact that they're having a trip rather than thinking of Grunkle Stan bug spraying hitchhikers in the face. Like, Stan, you could just not pick them up, dude. Like, just drive by. Well, maybe actually that's what he's doing. Just leaning out the window and bug spraying some random guys on the side of the road. This would be way higher on the list if that was an actual scene in the episode.
Nice. And don't forget bug spray.
But wait, if you look right next to Grunkle Stan, you'll see this stupid do not touch box that Mabel took from Dipper's room for no reason, just so Wendy can be a crush character instead of a real person. This episode was originally going to be a full Wendy episode, but then they couldn't think of anything, so at the last minute they did a road trip idea they thought of before, which is fine and dandy because the idea of that sounds fun and clever. But then they made it all about Dipper being a womanizer and cuts out Ford and Wendy from the roster, even though Suze, who is also just an employee and is there, which we literally see in this shot of this first line. Oh no, I did the thing where I rant again. Maybe I really should go to therapy and work out that Mabel's finger cheese thing.
Feed me, Carbon! Feed me now! Well, hello there, traveler. I see your car broke down on this lonesome country road. A place so remote that no one can hear your screams!
I think this one does a great job at setting up this episode. This entire episode is a guy going to the mystery shack late at night because his car broke down. So Grunkle Stan does the obvious thing any sane man would do in this situation and try to sell the guy things that are useless for his situation and tell stories to make him want to buy it more. And this line even has a funny joke of no one can hear your screams. And then the guy backs up because, like, why would you say that?
No one can hear your screams! Pretend I didn't say that.
This episode is Little Gift Shop of Horrors, but overall, I think this first line is kinda whatever. Like, I don't care too much one way or the other, but Grunkle Stan sounds like Grunkle Stan here without his voice breaking or whatever was happening in the last one.
And don't forget bug spraying in the face of hitchhikers.
This is probably the most C-tier, middle-of-the-road intro out of this entire list, even being a C-. So Grunkle Stan, I'm going to give this I'm going to walk to the town out of buy your merchandise.
Hail's designed to sell my merchandise!
Isn't it weird that Grunkle Stan just drugs and kidnaps this guy with both Mabel and Dipper just fully complicit with this happening? Like, I get that they can be morally but I feel like Mabel is too kind and Dipper is too smart to just be like, yeah, Grunkle Stan, we'll just let you keep this guy in a glass box for hours. In fact, Grunkle Stan, I'll just read my Garstrong book while Mabel plays tic-tac-toe with him.
I don't think you're playing this right.
Sack of misery.
Now this scene is Grunkle Stan at his peak compared to the last one, and even the one before that. He's actually giving a tour to some guys and uses his infamous sack of mysteries.
For tonight's final illusion, we have the incredible sack of mystery. When you put your money in, it mysteriously disappears.
This is missing the second half of the joke where they all go, oh yeah, I'll put money in this bag. But I still think it's a pretty funny on its own because he'll 100% believe without a doubt in his mind that they will just start putting money in there. And the sack even jingles when he moves it.
Sack of mystery.
This is the very 4th episode of the show, The Hand That Rocks Mabel. And this first line sets up a later detail of Gideon stealing everything that the Mystery Shack has, even down to having a Seuss even down to having a Seuss copycat. So this scene is higher because it doesn't have much that detracts from the first line, but it's still lower than 28 other episodes because of it just not being that much in terms of how good a first line can be.
When you put your money in, it mysteriously disappears.
This is why I say the last one was like a C-, because while I have a lot to say about things that are bad towards the bottom, or even just have interesting details about the scene itself, there is nothing more I can praise or criticize about these episodes' first lines. Besides, maybe the bag looks cool with all those stitch marks and stuff.
Don't say it, Little Dipper.
Now, this first line is so long, I can't even play the whole thing without getting in trouble. This is the episode Little Dipper, and has Gideon plotting on how to get revenge on the Pines family. To give context of how long this line is compared to the others, the bottom 6 slots I've ranked has their first lines being as long as this one, which is a huge reason as to why it's so high on the list, because how many concepts can you get across through a monologue of just Gideon?
Zombie attack? Never works. They don't take orders. Blood rain? Ew, that's not my suit. No, thank you.
Even up to here, this clip has lots that is said. This is another random mention of zombies, which appear a lot more than you would think across the show if you watch my facts video. But that also means that Journal 2 also has zombies, and supposedly a way to summon them, since Gideon was supposed to use them to attack the Pines family.
Blood rain? Ew, that's not my suit. No, thank you. Demon caterpillars?
I love that the only reason he doesn't use literal blood rain is because it ruined his suit. Also, like the demon caterpillars, because like, what even is that? Stuff like this is why I'd love to see more of the other journals. I even made a whole video about just the ghost of Gravity Falls that was mainly about the Journal 3. So considering zombies are in both volumes, I wonder if there's more information that we could have had. But yeah, anyways, demon caterpillars?
Demon caterpillars? Drat! There must be a perfect way to exact vengeance on the Pines family. It's not enough to harm them. I need to take something from them.
I love that he slams that book so hard because of demon caterpillars, and then he has the gall to say drat. Like, that's some Halt level lyrics. But I didn't fully recognize that this was the scene where Gideon decided that what he wanted was the shack.
I need to take something from them. Something that'll give me ultimate power. Wait, of course! It's perfect.
Like, most of us first watching this show are like, oh, he's saying the shack is the ultimate power, when actually it's the other journal. This isn't even fully revealed until the finale of season 1. So having episode 11, the halfway point of the season, be the point where he comes up with the idea is so cool. Because this line is exactly why we get introduced to Bill Cipher in the first place, since Demon says backwards message reversed a couple of times until he's summoned. Though the scene doesn't lead to much in terms of the episode itself. Like, Gideon comes in with different plans in the B plot until he literally just stumbles into Mabel and Dipper fighting for the 50th time. Only this time they had a glowing and shrinking. I put glowing, even though it's supposed to be growing. Like, that's a flub I would do like naturally in my mouth, not like on the script.
Maybe he didn't see us use it and doesn't know it's a magic flashlight that can grow and shrink things.
Really? Really?
So both the A and B plot combine. Though when I first watched this episode a couple of different times as a kid, I was always like, this episode wasn't that cool. And now I realize that was because this intro was setting up the season 1 finale, more than setting up just the episode itself. And all of that was because of this first line.
It's perfect.
You know what? Maybe this ranking video wasn't that big of a mistake after all. This one first line literally caused so much of my enjoyment of this entire episode that it set the expectation to a degree that left me unsatisfied when I first watched it. Like, obviously not every episode is equal in judging this way, but clearly there's something to it that makes the first line so important that it can affect this much, at least to my first time watching this. Or maybe I'm just reaching.
Here we are, the Summerween Superstore.
Now, I may need to defend why this is higher than the last one considering how much I praised it, but hear me out. We instantly have a joke of Stan skidding his Stanmobile into the handicap spot, then taking barely a second before he steps out and goes, "Here we are."
Here we are.
Then immediately after that Gravity Falls-ness, we get him going the Summerween store.
The Summerween Superstore.
This episode is literally called Summerween, so in terms of setup and jokes, this did a lot in such a small amount of time. Compare that to the last one where it's so long that I couldn't play the whole thing at once. This one has action and intrigue of how rough they drive the car in, and then instantly hits you with the words of introducing the concept of Halloween happening in summer only within Gravity Falls. But it being so popular that they have a Summerween Superstore.
The Summerween Super.
This is such a fun and fast way to introduce the episode and efficiently use of the first line. We even see every main character besides Wendy, which I also love that Mabel is sitting on Grunkle Stan's side, but just because the camera wouldn't see her if she gets out on his side, so she goes out on Dipper's instead.
Here we are, the Summerween Superstore.
I just find little details like that cute, I don't know. And I assume you do too if you're watching this far into such a weird video. You're a freak, but hey, I'm right here with you too. I also like how Mabel and Suze both closed their doors, but Grunkle Stan just does it. Like he wants to monologue about the store he drove them to so bad. And just him parking in the handicap spot even sets up how much shenanigans they get up to when they actually get into their supermarket that's dressed up as a spirit Halloween. To the point they are getting kicked out and get called out by name.
Have the police come and eject the Pines family from the store.
Not today!
My eyes!
Like, the Pines family are straight menaces for everyone in town. Or at least this poor minimum wage worker who gets gassed and even given fake money. How did Stan not get in trouble for that? He literally stole from people who know their name. But I guess there's just such a minimum wage worker that all that they can say is,
I hate Summerween.
Morning, Dipper, guess who?
so why did I put something this stupid above the previous one?
Morning, Dipper, guess who?
Well, this episode, Dipper Mabel vs. the Future, is the penultimate episode to the series finale, being a very important and prestigious episode for many Gravity Falls analysts such as myself.
Guess who?
So as we see here, Mabel is creating dialogue with her brother Dipper, which is like half the title of the episode already.
Morning, Dipper, guess who?
This very important moment within their bedroom is eventually what leads to the last confrontation within the exact same bedroom, being a plot type reversal instead of a joke reversal like we talked about earlier.
Morning, Dip, who?
It starts with the most goofy tone possible so that later we can get to the point where Mabel is crying over feeling betrayed by her brother and doesn't know what to do over her fear of the, wait for it, future.
Morning, Dipper, guess who?
Dipper and Mabel vs. the Future has an incredible first line that sets up everything about Mabel's conflict and how deep a character she truly is. And you know what? They did it with only one line. With only the first line of dialogue, they perfectly set up the plot and characters of the entire show, making this incredible first line that knocks all the others out of the water and across the ocean. All thanks to this single, brilliant first line.
Morning,
Dipper dash who? Whoa, I feel like I blacked out for a minute there. Which one were we on? Oh yeah, the series finale's first line. This finale lives in a lot of the hearts of fans, not only as the conclusion to this show that they loved, but as a way to say goodbye to these characters they've fallen in love with for these past couple years. So here's the first line we're judging this episode by. So, this intro instantly gets all the fans engaged by having all of the main and side characters screaming at each other, which is also hype because all the last episode was leading to this interaction. So reusing the screaming from the previous episode instantly makes the viewer go, oh yeah, that's what was happening last time. What happens next? It's also funny because so many guys are just yelling at each other even though they are either friends or literally family. The only thing bringing us down is that this scene is reused from the previous episode, and also, I'm not sure if you noticed this, but it's just screaming. But with how much this gets viewers instantly engaged, it just has to be this high, because what else gets people to watch things more than just screaming at them all the time for the entire video for engagement?
I don't think you're playing this right. I'm gonna say B5.
Wait. I know, I know, but I need to explain why this
B5
is so high. So imagine you're me, right? Going through 40 individual episodes of a TV show trying to think of which first line is better than the others. When judging them, you're thinking of some parameters, so you have some way to categorize them. So you think, oh, it'll probably have to engage a viewer and also relate to the overall episode as well, and also if I enjoy it, because what's the point if not? And then you come across the episode Dreamscaperers and it's just this.
I'm gonna say B5.
And it just corrupts your brain chemistry into thinking that for some reason, this literally nothing statement is somehow so funny to you that it gets this high on the list.
B5.
It has nothing to do with the plot of the episode.
B5.
It doesn't even get the viewers engaged, being as monotone as I used to be when doing videos.
I'm gonna say B5.
Like when looking at this clip, it was like Dipper was talking to me, telling me, oh, you know what I'm gonna say for my first line, MrMatter? B5.
I'm gonna say B5.
Like imagine just talking to someone in a conversation on some social media like Twitter, and you just respond with this.
I'm gonna say B5.
As if that means anything to your conversation. Being so thoughtful and strongly thinking about what their response should be, and all they end up saying is
B5.
I know this isn't funny. I know this isn't clever. I know it's literally nothing. This is even less than those deep fried memes that are so unfunny they died with Markiplier E. But I can't help but to drag it this far up the list from the depths of hell, because this is my baby. This is my clip that I enjoy and no one else ever can, because how could you ever?
I'm gonna say B5.
Miss! Whop!
This episode might be ranked higher because of recency bias, but here's the inconveniencing's very first line.
Mabel, do you believe in ghosts?
I think this first line might not be as much as you may think, but there's actually a lot here. Dipper casually bringing up ghosts sets up the fact that this entire episode is about ghosts. I feel like him just casually bringing up ghosts might be a tiny joke as well. And then Mabel spinning on the globe in the same shot adds a lot more engagement for viewers first tuning in, while even being a setup to a joke of her falling over just because Dipper put a pencil to it.
I believe you're a big dork.
I feel like I might have put it up this high because of me making the ghost lore deep dive, but I've honestly gone too crazy to tell. Literally the only other positive I can say about this is that I like how the shot is composed and the animation of Mabel spinning is sick. So does this belong this high, or am I just a freak who's gone too far with a cartoons kids show? Nah, I'm right. This first line is sick, nasty, awesome. Discombobulate. Headhunters. This episode foreshadowed Stan having a twin brother and gave me a background for that one video where I went to MatPat's funeral.
One that looks oddly similar to the one appearing in the opening sequence of every episode of Rick and Morty.
Oddly similar in my... No, you need to leave. But this episode's first line is from the best show on TV, Duck-tective.
I'm afraid your services won't be required here, sir.
Now, don't worry, that's not the entire clip, but so far I love just seeing these two lay on the floor, just straight up enjoying the show. I like how Dipper is just downing popcorn while Mabel is knitting what I suppose is one of her over 100 sweaters that she canonically has and has knitted several of.
My men have examined the evidence, and this is obviously an accident.
Now, if this first line was by the Duck-tective, this would be ranked way higher, but we still gotta love this human police guy side character, especially when he does a pun as awesome as this.
Obviously an accident.
which even leads to the fact that Wax Stan got murdered by particularly an axe. Also love that Dipper was downing popcorn so hard that when Mabel tried to even get one piece, he just unblinkingly, without even seeming like any effort, slaps her hand away.
More men have examined the evidence, and they...
Mabel gets so scared. Look at her face. OMG. Look at her face. OMG. OMG. But I think compared to everything else we've ranked so far, this is like a full scene, which is probably just because it's from a TV instead of a character saying it. So that way Dipper and Mabel can even have an interaction in the background. But I think this next episode might be even better.
Naked Grandma!
Naked, huh?
Ladies and gentlemen, we now return to Cash Wheel, sponsored by Chip Backers, the chip-flavored crackers.
Now this one is higher than the previous due to it being much shorter while doing much more. First off, we have so many more characters and even Waddles, who's getting served the same chip backers as the commercial on TV.
Chip Backers, the chip-flavored crackers.
And that commercial within itself is a full joke, which may not be as funny as Dipper slapping Mabel's hand away from the popcorn, but it's still pretty good. Also, I love that the sitting arrangement for this shot is wild. Like Grunkle Stan is sitting in the armchair, which makes sense, while Mabel and Waddles are on the floor eating chip backers, the chip flavored crackers. Then instead of sitting on the ground like literally the last one we ranked, Dipper is instead sitting on the uncomfortable looking skull.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Like, I've seen some people in the fandom talk about how Dipper is a freak by sitting weirdly and admitting to not showering for a week.
Please don't eat me! I haven't showered in like a week!
But like, what is this, bro? And finally, past all of what I said, this also sets up the episode like crazy. This episode, Boss Mabel, has Mabel and Grunkle Stan bet that Stan can make more money on vacation than Mabel could as the boss of the Mystery Shack. But the coolest part about this is that Grunkle Stan wasn't just saying that, he took this as a challenge to join the hit show Cash Wheel.
We now return to Cash Wheel,
which is all set up in this first line. This first line has so much happening that it almost makes you forget how I'm ranking these entire episodes based on only the first line.
Oh, why didn't you just go home?
First off with this first line is that Mabel makes this noise. So you already know that this first line should be ranked higher than everything else so far. I love that as soon as Mabel makes that noise, Dipper looks actually pissed off.
Total domination! I am the master of attic stuff mini golf.
I also love that this detail of Mabel being great at mini golf comes up later in the Pacifica episode where she rides in the car and nothing else happens. It's such a cool detail to bring back from season 1's episode Carpe Diem all the way to season 2's Gulf War. I just think a detail like that is cool and makes the world feel much more real. Like most other cartoons and just shows in general can't even keep track of little things, like one of the main characters is awesome at mini golf, which is why a whole episode around that fact is even cooler.
Total domination! I am the master of attic stuff mini golf.
Besides being instantly engaging with Mabel yelling and making this noise, this first line also sets up the whole episode's conflict pretty well. Since the emotional conflict is about how Dipper likes hanging out with Mabel and doing stupid things like attic stuff mini golf, but hates not being able to do that while her friends are there literally every single night. Which is a very sweet story that's all set up right here with him enjoying his time even though he does look pissed off. Anyways, let's look at the rest of the first line.
From the mighty Swiss Alps to the badlands of Dipper's old laundry where man fears to tread.
Ew, dude! First Dipper doesn't shower for like a week, and then he has laundry so nasty that it has a fly flying around it. Like, at least put that stuff in a pile or something, Dipper. Like, damn. Make sure you clean your rooms, viewers at home. Or at least make sure that it doesn't have literal flies going around it with how nasty you are. What is wrong with you? This episode is the finale to season 1, which was the very first two-parter that Gravity Falls ever tried to do. So after a dramatic scene of the Mystery Shack getting destroyed, this is the first line said.
I just had a horrible dream that Gideon stole the deed to the Mystery Shack and kicked us out, and we all had to move in with Seuss's grandma.
I love this first line because of how it not only sets up the episode, but also recaps the previous episode for the audience. So Dipper says a lot about his very much a memory and not a dream at all dream. and then ends with a joke about needing to live with Susa's grandma, which would be ranked much higher if the next line could count in this ranking.
We all had to move in with Susa's grandma.
That was no dream, dude.
Like, that payoff makes this intro so perfect. Also love how it's just so fast. It gets the viewers engaged with Dipper screaming, then recaps with the previous episode, all while leading towards this episode and its joke.
That was no dream, dude.
Like, how much better of a setup can a first line be other than literally recapping the first half of the episode? This ranking really helped me appreciate the tiny details of this show. I even love that everyone could guess without even hearing the rest of the line that Dipper is actually in Susa's grandma's house by the fact that the chair looks nothing like anything in the Mystery Shack. Man, what a good first line. I'm glad we're getting to the good ones, but since this is in the 19th place, I should say that this is lower because it's not funny by itself, and we can only really see Dipper in the frame. But we're definitely in the B to A tier first lines though, because like, man, I'm just straight up happy talking about this one, like legit gleeful, my guy. In fact, let's watch that first line to finish off this section just because we can.
I just had a horrible dream that Gideon stole the deed to the Mystery Shack and kicked us out, and we all had to move in with Susa's grandma.
Into the Bunker. What more can I say about the spectacular Gravity Falls episode, Into the Bunker? Oh wait, I know. It's first line.
What do we do, Chadley? I thought they were dead.
That's it? Oh yeah, that's it. These first few seconds of the episode get you instantly engaged. It has the miraculous joke of bad TV horror movies. And I really just like how the lady delivers his line while the boom mic comes to the frame and even makes noise.
What do we do, Chadley?
The fact that this begins with the volume being turned up is such a cool detail as well. Also the fact that this guy is named Chadley and then makes this face the whole time.
What do we do, Chadley? I thought they were dead.
Like, dude couldn't stop making that face. He wasn't even looking like that before the close-up. But this line is lower than the others, much like the rest of these, just because it's missing a little something something to make it awesome. But I love the way they introduce this episode and how many straight-up jokes they do every second with the detail. Like, even besides what I said, I love that even though this scene is supposed to be in just full black and white, the background feels like it has such vibrancy. And even though it's not technically part of the first line, a second before, we see the establishing shot of Wendy's house, and wow, look at that. This show looks so great even for a 2-second shot that they never reuse. I guess one big thing this first line also doesn't have is foreshadowing or setting up the episode itself. And while it seems like at most it's setting up Wendy and Dipper hanging out, it feels like it sets up a little more than you think, just like Carpe Diem's golf first line. Them watching the show without any other friends shows how even without Dipper's crush, they're still just good friends that can hang out and watch stupid movies. I even wonder if Dipper even slightly relates to the guy, especially since the previous episode has Dipper raise the dead. Raise the dead.
Dipper, what's the one thing I asked you not to do tonight?
Raise the dead.
And what did you do?
Raise the dead.
Which is also why this first line is ranked higher, just because I love that detail of Dipper just gone through this in the previous episode, which is also where they set up the fact that this episode is going into the bunker.
What do we do, Chadley? I thought they were dead.
That's right, I said into the bunker. Weird like that because of this one fact. I love narrative through lines even when it's subtle.
That's awfully hot. That's all I got.
Watch out, Gravity Falls, because at 110 degrees, we're looking at the hottest day of the summer.
This first line stunningly sets up the episode the deep end, telling about how hot it is to the point where Grunkle Stan would drive everyone to the pool. I also love that it's that freak of nature, Toby Determined, is the one saying this, because I really feel like they don't use the fact that he's one of the town's only news sources, so the Toby use here is much appreciated. Also, 110 degrees is actually so crazy, especially in Oregon. The only time it's turned that crazy since it was 115 degrees in 1946 was in 2021, where the heat wave went up to 119. So the fact that the show was set in 2012 or 2013 depending on who you ask.
2013.
So that adds another detail to the weirdness of Gravity Falls. Also, it's only this far up because a squirrel explodes. I feel like that's so crazy that we don't talk about how it was so hot in Gravity Falls that a squirrel literally instantaneously combusted.
I'm locking up. Shoo, possum, shoo!
Now this clip is high because it's not even finished yet. That's right, for any of you that remember the intro to Society of the Blind Eye, Was that voice cool? I hope that was cool. The first line literally goes for 20 seconds straight. While Gideon's was indeed 22 seconds that we talked about earlier, this one is way better. Even with the first part of this first line, Lazy Susan, the best, does a cute little sweeping song just before shooing some possums away, which sets up this awesome escalation to the joke. Awesome.
Shoo, possum, shoo! Get because it's sick!
Which I think is funny, but thank goodness that McGucket didn't say any actual words or this first line would be over already. just like in episode 1. And if you don't love Lazy Susan yet, I hope this next bit is what changes your mind.
Ta-da! Good night, diner. Night, trees.
Like, I love that she's saying goodnight to the diner and trees, especially since she's saying this all to herself and most likely does it every night she locks up. Then, just like the McGucket bit, this leads to another sensational escalation.
Good night, trees. Good night, tiny men stealing my pie. Wait, what?
What? The gnomes are so desperate. They're literally stealing an older lady's pie from a windowsill. That's cartoon levels of evil. What is wrong with him? Also, why does she have a pie on her windowsill? Was she just gonna leave it overnight? Is she only shocked because it's gnomes stealing it and not like some stray cats? Or did my girl just forget?
Good night, tiny men stealing my pie.
I've talked about most of the particular things about this first line except for the foreshadowing / setup. And boy, that's why this is so high up the list, besides it being super long. We not only have the obvious of Lazy Susan seeing something paranormal so that that Blind Eye Society can come, and seeing how peaceful and simple the life of someone in Gravity Falls is, all things considered. But we even get reintroduced to Old Man McGucket, showing that he's a freak that is equivalent to a possum to the townsfolk and even to the audience.
Get because it's sick!
I think this is a terrific first line that's severely helped by being so gosh dang long. Like, remember the last place loser that was Halt? Man, that was so long ago. In fact, if you've been watching this video this long, remember to subscribe. Like, clearly if you've been watching this stupid video for this long, you're ready to hear me talk about anything Gravity Falls.
Buy more TJ! Buy more TJ!
In this first line, Gruckle Stan is literally me OMG relatable.
Alright, Stan. Another day, another random body pain. Here we go.
Why are his shoes wet and soaked with some sort of white liquid? Don't know, don't care. This first line isn't too engaging, but it is a great way to start this episode given its plot. The entire point of this intro is to show how boring, mundane, and unimpressive Grucklesen's life is. It sounds like I'm roasting him, but that's literally true. It's very similar to how Breaking Bad's first episode opens showing his boring, mundane, and unimpressive life before he sees something on TV that inspires him.
Give me the good news.
This just in. The mayor is dead.
What?
Only for Mr. Pines is becoming mayor of Gravity Falls to become the Stanchorian candidate, like the title of the episode. So this first line is great setup for this episode and is even relatable funny, especially if you're 230 like me. Also, I love Grunkle Stan and have a strong bias for him. You don't want to see what this video would be like if Great Uncle Ford was the first line of an episode, believe me. Foot cam. Get Kurt pranked, Grunkle Stan.
Kurt Prank! Kurt Prank with Justin Kurt Prank.
The Gulf War. That's the Pacifica car ride episode. Oh man, this intro must be great if it's this high up.
Who wants Stan cakes? They're like pancakes, but they probably have some of my hair in them.
I don't know about you, but I'm instantly engaged. We have Dipper watching TV with a bowl of cereal with the one and only Waddles. And then the Grunkle Stan dazzlingly walks in with the famous Stan cakes. All this intro needs is a laugh track.
Who wants Stan cakes? They're like pancakes, but they probably have some of my hair in them. Pass.
This doesn't set up the episode at all, but I like this bit much more than so many of the other first lines. And it even has a full joke because one character said the entire joke, instead of needing a second person like every other intro has, much like the Grunkle Stan sack clip from earlier.
For tonight's final illusion, we have the incredible sack of mystery. When you put your money in, it mysteriously disappears.
That clip only works with the people shoveling money in happily after Stan says that.
Oh, of course.
That makes perfect sense.
If you look at the TV, you can see Ducktective making this way better than the other Ducktective intro. Also, I like the cereal being called Overly Sensitive Owl. Like, that owl looks so stupid and happy.
Blowing bubbles. That's the lamest idea I have ever heard.
Weirdmageddon 2's first line begins on the 4th day of the apocalypse, as we get introduced to some of the last survivors on the street.
End times are here, folks. Only way to salvation is to embrace the triangular ways of our overlord.
I love that this crazy pig guy that was really going to burn a child at the stake only because she said that she was a witch.
Well, time to round up a mob.
And was part of the secret society of the Blind Eye while wearing nothing under his cloak.
That's right. I don't wear nothing under my robe. Not gonna apologize for that. Maybe y'all should apologize for being a bunch of prudes.
It's the same person to lead a cult about Bill liking triangles for no reason. Especially when you remember that Bill hates being a 2D triangle so much that he became a pyramid.
Any object with more than 3 sides is sinful. That's it. That's probably what Bill wants.
The only other person with him being Wendy's dad makes so much sense because that dude is dead stupid.
That's probably what Bill wants.
I just love how he's like, that might be what he wants, I don't know. This first line will be so much funnier though if it wasn't interrupted by Dan screaming, because this next line said is great.
I reckon I've been living a lie.
That's great. I'm so glad he said those words. It makes my brain happy. But this first line is also great for setting up this episode, because most of the plot of this episode is inside Mabel's bubble, a fantasy world intended on keeping her trapped forever. But Dipper wants to get her home and help their family and friends. So this first line showing how bad it is outside shows how bad it is while doing something new. Instead of flashbacks or something boring like that, it tips up the main stakes of the episode, so it's a great first line. It's only lower because it doesn't have the I reckon I've been living a lie, and I don't give a hoot about these two characters. I've been calling him Wendy's dad and Guy this whole time because what's his name? Tell me right now what his name is. Did you guess Sprott? Cause I wouldn't. Only know Boyish Dan Corduroy because of the ghost video I made, and that one clip where they make fun of Wendy's name.
Corduroy?
That clip has infected my brain so much I can't hear the name Corduroy without thinking of that clip. Corduroy. Corduroy.
Borderoy? Borderoy? Corduroy?
This first line belongs to one of my favorite episodes, Seuss and the Real Girl. It's all about Seuss girl, and who doesn't love them a good old Seuss story? Anyway, here's the first line. Now, this is engaging. I absolutely adore how she's aggressively la-la-lying and skipping, which then goes instantly into an ah. I could say that this sets up the episode by having Seuss be the one that sets her free, but it seems like way more of a stretch that even I couldn't say that. But I just find this clip plain old funny, and I think it's because of how aggressive it is. It's so fast. And her face gets so warped while being in the screen door that I'm like, no wonder she thinks she's dying. Look at her. She's literally going cross-eyed at the end like she's deceased.
Someone dictate my will! I'm giving it all to Waddle!
I like how she doesn't give anything to any members of her family besides Waddles. Like, again, he's voice acted by Neil deGrasse Tyson, but calm down, Mabel. Save some for your brother. I like to imagine those video essays about Mabel being a terrible person uses this as an example, like, she won't even give anything to her brother. What a selfish little or something like that. Or something. Now, this first line is undoubtedly the best one so far, by a long shot. This goes with the episode Boys Crazy, and let's just say, it goes hard.
Do you have this t-shirt in my size?
I'm not even gonna pretend. I love the voice they do, while saying the most boring sentence in the world.
Do you have this t-shirt in my size?
This is another instance of Wendy and Dipper hanging out watching TV that eventually leads to a plot later about their leading nowhere romance. But I enjoy this newer clip way more by a long shot. Also, have you noticed how many times this TV show starts out by looking at a TV? I just think that's a little interesting.
Do you have this t-shirt in my size?
Imagine being at a store and some guy comes up to you about a t-shirt and says,
Do you have this t-shirt in my size?
And then you're also Grunkle Stan in the flesh. This line doesn't have the iconic second line that brings the joke to an awesome level.
Behold,
my butt.
This first line is incredible and I won't be taught otherwise. It's funny, while also being a little confusing for people just watching. That is until the butt lines.
My butt.
And that confusion makes him intrigued enough to keep watching. But that voice Dipper did was great, and I wish I came over and had the exact same voice, being all, "Stop making fun of me, guys! Guys, stop making fun of me!"
Do you have this t-shirt in my size?
We're in the top 10 first lines now. There can only be bangers from here, and that's final. As much of a banger a first line can be anyways. Land Before Swine. The 10th place episode's first line goes a little something like this.
Focus, deputy. Remember your training.
The gay cops. There's like 5 jokes going on in only these couple of seconds. First off, we have a guy going 99 miles per hour, which is crazy, while the cops don't even bat an eye.
Focus, deputy.
You can already see that Deputy Durlin is only looking at the book, while Sheriff Blubs is like, "Focus, my guy, you trained for this."
Focus, deputy. Remember your training. Easy, easy.
This reveal to not even just be a crossword, but a kid's maze game. That's also super easy, even for a kid's maze. See, look, here's me doing it, and darn it, I got the shark again.
Easy, easy.
I like how you know that Blubs could do this very easily, but he's being so patient and calm with Durland because he wants him to be able to do it himself. But because Durland made noises, I can't include how excited Blubs get by him almost being there.
You're almost there.
Stuff like this is why I had to do the rules of the first line block of transcript, because if I was judging myself, I wouldn't have thought Durland's little puzzle solving noises counted. Anyway, here's the cute finale to this bit for your viewing pleasure.
Dang it, I almost got the treasure.
The time we spend together is treasure enough.
Look at how he smiles at him. Oh my god.
Here comes Pac-Man.
This is it, dudes. My favorite place in Gravity Falls.
Bang! Already engaged with learning about Seuss's favorite place, while the visuals are so colorful and vibrant. We got Grunkle Stan, Mabel, and of course Seuss all in one shot. We see the guy Grunkle Stan said the best joke of the show to while interrupting his proposal in the background of this shot.
My ex-wife still misses me, but her aim is getting better.
I love that joke so much, I sneak into every video and you can't stop me. I am too powerful. Dude's even wearing the same red shirt and green shorts. Wonder where his wife is. You think they're okay?
My favorite place in Gravity Falls.
Then we also see Green Bill Cipher, which might seem like a quirky recolor, but he was originally supposed to be green, like the dollar bill. So this being the season 1 episode Fight Fighters might show what we almost had, what his original design could have possibly have looked like. Like particularly that color palette of green is exactly what they might have used. Imagine how different the world would be if they went with that color of green instead of the much better yellow.
A frog taught me how to cross the street. When my house was haunted, I learned how to eat ghosts. And this thing taught me how to dance.
I love this. This entire episode is about an arcade cabinet coming to life, and Seuss's plot involves going into an arcade cabinet. So this first line sets up greatly, all while having jokes, references, and weird lore. Already included that Seuss ate ghosts one time lore into my ghost lore video, but I didn't mention that they also called the Pac-Man clone Ghost Maze and the Frogger clone Frog Time. I love how it's just Frog Time, and that ghost eating line even comes back with the outro gag.
Eating my friends.
Where he eats all his friends happily. Like he'd have to turn into the gluttony category ghost with all the dang eating ghost and friends business he has going on. I'm also not sure if this counts, but I love the cutoff this clip has to McGucket dancing.
And this thing taught me how to dance.
Like he's so gleeful for just a millisecond. This intro has a lot for every fan, especially for someone like me who likes stupid little details. So even though I may have a bias, this is my list and I love this first line. Now for one of the best episodes of the best show, Not What He Seems. So for this being in 8th place is honestly surprising considering how many really good episodes are like ranked at the bottom 20 half the episodes. So here's the 8th best Gravity Falls episode, Not What He Seems, ranked only by its first line.
Come on. Should be just enough to finish the job. Whew. Can't be too careful with this stuff.
Even if this line isn't exciting by having some character scream or make noises, this is exciting to any fan of the show. This has been teased since episode 1 of the show, and even more so with the season 1 finale and season 2's first episode building up this plot. So this episode beginning with this, especially after the previous episode had McGucket say this,
Something's coming! Something big!
it's engaging. It sets up the whole episode because the whole episode is about him using this machine and using literal toxic waste that he just rubs on his head while saying he should be careful.
Whew. Can't be too careful with this stuff.
Which is funny, but like that toxic waste seeped into his skull. That's why I had a theory when I was younger, like when I was 170. Like Uncle Stan was stupid in the finale and other points because his brain is literally irradiated. Like that shit sizzles into his scalp.
Can't be too careful with this stuff.
Which hits the other category of having a joke or being funny. So this intro has it all, but Uncle Stan gets interrupted even though he says more with no character saying anything. It's just focused too much on the machines. But this intro is great and I can't wait to talk about it eventually in the future. I just need to talk about stupid stuff like this first line ranking first.
I'm gonna steal the Declaration of Independence.
Irrational Treasure. You know what? I should do a ranking based on only the names because like they are wild. Most of them are puns except for like Gulf War, which made me confused as a kid because I was like, so what does this have to do with the Gulf War? But this National Treasure pun episode's first line goes a little something like this.
Haha, nacho earrings. I'm hilarious.
I love it. Everything is good about this first line and nothing can beat it, except for the next 6 first lines. Not only is this amazing, funny, cute, sensational, iconic, adjective, but it's also important to the plot. This episode has Mabel face off against Pacifica. She was in that car that one time, but instead of a competition like some other episodes, this one has Pacifica bully Mabel out of being silly and having nacho earrings.
Are you always this silly?
Hey, I can be serious.
You do have nachos hanging from your ears, hun.
This is what makes Mabel try to be more serious, but constantly fail. Until in the end, she realizes that being silly and yourself is way more valuable than seeming cool to some one-dimensional beach blonde valley girl stereotype.
You walking one-dimensional bleach blonde valley girl stereotype!
It's also a yellow triangle like Bill. Watch out, Mabel, it's Bill!
I'm seeing double here. 4 Krusties.
Double Dipper begins with this first line.
Oh no, Mabel. I don't feel so good.
I need no explanation, on to the next episode. Just kidding. But I do want to say though that I love the detail. Like the only reason they have string and being silly is because Grunkle Stan is throwing a party. Silly. String. And I love these siblings just playing and having fun. Look, Mabel is so excited to be barfed on by her brother. Look at that. I feel like I may be using clips in this video too much. Like look back at my longest script yet and I put so many clips I need to edit. Oh well, while I'm
Ho ho ho! Merry!
Top 5. I'm surprised I made it this far. And you watching as well. Remember when I had a breakdown at the first line ranked? But not just any episode ranking, that's too easy. I had to do okay. I need to calm down. Man, times sure have changed. So the 5th best episode of this Gravity Falls ranking is Dipper versus Manliness. And it's all because of a freak named Tyler.
I like to get my Christmas shopping done early. Do you have anything that's in the spirit of the season?
Tyler, it is the middle of summer right now, and not only are you asking if there's something in the spirit of the winter Christmas season, but you also went to a tourist trap, a place you have been several times. You were there day 1, the Grunkle Stan's first tour when you were a child. You saw Lazy Susan's eye get zapped lazy.
Ah! My eye! I paid
I love this freak because why did he say that? What is wrong with him? I love him.
I like to get my Christmas shopping done early. Do you have anything that's in the spirit of the season?
The fourth best Gravity Falls episode is Time Traveler's Pig, when ranked by the first line. Sorry, I have to keep saying that every time. Somebody is gonna clip me out of context thinking that Time Traveler's Pig or Five Fighters are somehow one of my favorite episodes to be like the top 10. They're trying to make it look like I think Coolsville sucks.
I think Coolsville sucks. No! Don't record that.
So yeah, anyway, here's the first line.
There she is, Mabel. The cheapest fare money can rent. I spared every expense.
This is finally a full Grunkle Stan joke. Every other clip, like the famous sack of mysteries,
We have the incredible sack of mystery.
or a kind of joke like the Stan cakes.
Who wants stand cakes? They're like pancakes, but they probably have some of my hair in them.
This time we have a full-on cheapskate Grunkle Stan joke.
I spared every expense.
Even though Dipper falling may not count, but I think it should if the squirrel exploding can be talked about with the other clips. We got the big three of main characters, Mabel, Dipper, and whatever that old guy's name is. This sets up the episode since the entire location and plot are both about the fair. Grunkle Stan's plot is running the fair and trying to get dunked, while Mabel is winning the greatest of all time goat waddles, or I guess the peak iconic giant pig waddles. And Dipper is trying to get with Wendy again by winning a toss game that constantly injures Wendy no matter what. I also liked how Mabel doesn't notice or hear anything until Dipper hits the ground. How is he okay?
God damn it, Bill!
The third best episode of Gravity Falls in this first line ranking is the finale arc episode Weirdmageddon 1, with this being the only first line in the episode belonging to Bill Cipher himself. He's been in the backgrounds or being what we see the camera through, but now it's his time to shine, and it makes perfect sense too.
Oh, it's happening! It's finally happening!
This is such a perfect first line. It carries the hype of the last episode, finally being like what will happen next. It has Bill doing classic body horror while he turns three-dimensional.
Physical form, don't mind if I do!
So yeah, this first line is engaging. It's so engaging that it doesn't even need to be funny. And I don't even need to mention how this sets up the episode amazingly. It carries from the previous episode and sets out how hype this next Weirdmageddon arc really is.
Oh, it's happening! It's finally happening!
I just love him going, it's finally happening over and over, because just like the audience, we're also excited and interested to see what is going to happen now that Bill has won after so many years. I'm not even sure what else to say other than look at those colors. This first line has so much of the details we've enjoyed about so many other first lines put all into one, which shows how good of a finale arc Gravity Falls has. If it starts off this strong, then how good is this entire last couple episodes going to be? Just look at his maniacal laugh as his literal flesh is added to his body. No wonder this is ranked so high up, but there's still two more first lines I think are ranked higher. This first line is a long one, much like some others we've talked about like Lazy Susans and Gideon's. The only difference is that this one is 53 seconds, being almost a minute of a first line. This one can eat the other two longest clips and still have 10 seconds left over. So, since this is likely going to be the longest section of this longest crud video, let's just jump ahead and go through the first bit of this almost a minute long first line, making the second best episode of Gravity Falls, Season 2, Episode 1, Scary Okie.
30 long years, and it's all led up to this. My greatest achievement. Probably should have worn pants.
Already, my mans has jokes about his pants. This episode is carried the hype of Season 1's finale, where it's revealed Grunkle Stan has a whole lab and machine under his house. So Grunkle Stan going, my greatest achievement, is not only a line that I think about randomly, but even sets up and repeats that he's been working on this machine like crazy. Reintroducing this aspect after the iconic line in the last episode, finally, I have them all.
Finally, I have them all.
And we're only in the first couple of seconds.
Feisty. I like it.
Which subtly sets up that he's never used this machine before. He's been waiting all these years just to get all 3 journals to be able to use it, which greatly sets up the twist and the idea of whether or not we should trust Grunkle Stan to begin with.
If I finally pull this off, it'll all have been worth it.
What's this all he's talking about? These are great because now we know what he means and it makes sense. But to those first watching, it makes you question everything. Man, I love this show so much. I should make like videos about it or something.
If anyone ever finds out about this. Yeah, right. I've come this far. Who could possibly catch me now?
Which I love so much. Oh my gosh. But just to prove real quick that this is all in the first line, look. This first block even goes all the way to Wendy and even Gideon opening his eye. Which means this intro has Grunkle Stan, Mabel, Dipper, Wendy, Gideon, and even a surprise guest, a 4-6-finger glove. Which you know made the theorists go crazy for months to even years before Not What He Seems did the My Brother thing.
My brother.
You know what? This made me realize that Grunkle Stan has all the hard lines. He even has the finale defeat of Bill Cipher about messing with his family.
You made one fatal mistake. You messed with my family.
But the fact that scene also sets up this distrust and needing to hide stuff from Dipper and Mabel not only sets up this episode, but this whole dang season. It sets up the show's plot, not just a random episode's plot. And gosh, just the visuals are so dang good. The lighting of him in front of the portal, the code going by on his hat and face, the fact he cares enough to put Dipper and Mabel's photo there tells the audience he cares, but not without making you question everything. And the fact that this photo is here later, which adds dialogue for Mabel to talk down Dipper against Stan, is like, gosh, I love it. I love this show. And also, I just love the detail of us seeing the outside world's reaction to the machine being turned on. It is so cool. And also lets you remember that Gideon went to real adult prison. For real. And just the lighting of that blue glow is so cool.
So cool. So cool. So cool.
But even though I think this first line is so cool, and it's the longest first line we have available, I still think there's one more episode that tops overall. But let's end this section with Gideon opening his eye, and only that scene, since that's where the transcript block ends. It's gonna be like 1 second, so be ready. Here we are, ladies and gents and entities. The #1 best episode of Gravity Falls to ever exist. Ranked by their first line. It's been a long and wild ride. I started out this video by hating this concept, but over time came to appreciate the first lines. Which I guess does make sense since I went from worst to best. But my breakdown is still valid, okay? The #1 best episode of Gravity Falls. The very best first line they ever made is bottomless pit.
In this land of ours, there are many great pits, but none more bottomless than the bottomless pit, which as you can see here is bottomless.
This has everything. It sets up the episode Bottomless Pit perfectly by showing and explaining the bottomless pit. It gets you instantly engaged by Grunkle Stan talking fast and hard about this pit he has that is bottomless.
Which as you can see here is bottomless.
And it even has the aspect that has raised the lowest of the low episodes of Gravity Falls during this ranking, such as Dipper and Mabel versus the future.
Morning, Dipper, guess who?
Dreamscaperers.
I'm gonna say B5.
All the way up to the classic Boys Crazy.
Do you have this t-shirt in my size?
The fact that I love the delivery, words, and just straight up Gravity Falls-ness to the line.
But none more bottomless than the bottomless pit, which as you can see here is bottomless.
We got Stan, Mabel, Dipper, and even Seuss. If we could include the next line Seuss says, this would hit even harder.
Question. Is it bottomless?
Kids, could one of you try explaining this to Seuss?
I love the delivery on that, and the fact that everyone in the audience understands the concept and also the characters involved. Except Seuss. If you ever need a reminder of why this show is so good, just popping on this episode and seeing its first line will instantly tell you why Gravity Falls is one of the best shows to exist and 100% my favorite cartoon in general. It even has all the characters come out the same side of the car while Grunkle Stan is introducing something just like the submarine store.
Here we are, the Summerween Superstore.
The previous first line might have more weight to the show and plot, but this is the best first line with every other aspect. Every time I see this clip, I'm instantly happy. I'm not even gonna apologize. I love this first line, and no amount of complaining will change my mind. He's just so happy explaining this to them. And instead of getting a prop out like a calendar for the submarine store, he has a little sign he spins around. This entire episode is spent in this pit, so you can't argue that this isn't the best setup out of them all. Pretty much every other episode has a B-plot that isn't foreshadowed or anything by the intro, but not this one. And unlike the Gift Shop of Horrors intro, it isn't boring and is instead iconic, life-changing, inspiring, enjoyable, informative, beautiful, and heartwarming. It brought a tear to my eye. It is beautiful. The perfect line of Gravity Falls in the palm of my hand. I've done it. It's finally happened. It's finally really happened. Now, before I go to sleep for months, let me play the best first line one last time in its entirety. I'm so happy I finally did this, and I really hope you all enjoyed. This video took a long time and is my longest video yet. I feel like after all that, I deserve at least a comment from you about what you thought in the comment section down below. I for real go through them every once in a while, so I will be reading them. So anyways, here's the best episode of Gravity Falls, and its very first line that we ranked it by.
In this land of ours, there are many great pits, but none more bottomless than the bottomless pit, which as you can see here is bottomless.
YouTube thinks you'll like this video, so watch it next, please.